Welcome back, everybody, to the main gaming high roller event. We are about to jump into day 2 of action of this extremely unique event. For those of you guys who are just joining us, I'd like to give a little bit of background on how this event works. We had day 1 yesterday, 6 matches. Day 2 today, 6 matches. Both of these days are individual events. So we have wiped the scoreboard clean for today, and these players, whether they had a good day yesterday or a bad day yesterday, are coming out with a fresh chance in a one-day tournament. However, there is an overall leaderboard for the combined total of the 2 days. So these players are still playing for a huge chunk of change here, about 3/4 of the $2,000 pot still on the line. And we are jumping in right into the action with about a Gatka all the way down to Milta Power plane path, a pretty fair plane path here. And once again, I am delighted to be joined by my good friend Chunks in the booth here. And Chunks, what do you think as we head into this action for today?
I'm excited, man. Obviously, you know, we had a really intense set of games yesterday. 1 or 2 teams really stealing the show, it felt like. But coming into it tonight with things kind of resetting, I'm interested to see how things are going to change, whether squads are going to maybe stick to the same games plan or whether they are just going to completely do a 180. And it looks like some squads are already getting aggressive. You can see Winners Circle, BHE, both landing around Shelter again. And this is a spot we saw continually get contested. Now looking like this, and it looks like they want to continue that fight from last night. Obviously, Winners Circle able to put up a couple good games in the first place. Now, just showing that confidence coming out, it's really impressive. I can't wait to see this fight continue throughout the entire night. And with the circle popping towards them, that's got to be a promising sign.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw BHE and Winners Circle going at it pretty much every Erangel match yesterday. All 4 rounds, they were pretty close. And we saw some extremely early fights come out between these 2 teams. So it's going to be interesting to see the aggression from Winners Circle if they continue it up. They didn't exactly finish where they would have liked on the scoreboard yesterday, but as we said, we have a fresh event today, so I'm very excited to see how they bounce back and how this relationship with BHE kind of plays out. It looks like Tickle has taken the Shelter to himself and the rest of the team is over at Hall of Fame, while BHE seems to be kind of confined to that scrapyard compound over here. I think they're going to be pretty strapped for loot as we look into this, Chunks. But as we zoom out, take a quick look at the map, it looks like several other teams pretty comfortable in their normal landing spots. MG, I think, has moved down to Ferry Pier. I'm not sure if they were dropping there earlier. Our winners from yesterday, K7 from the EU side of things, comfortable in Pochinki. I think they start today with a little bit of about a 20-point leader, 20-point lead on the scoreboard. So they're going to be very comfortable moving out of Pochinki, but again, going to have to rotate early here to get into this zone. And I'm just anxious to see how this plays out between BHE and Winners Circle if they're going to get aggressive on this early zone here.
I mean, it seems like it, doesn't it? You got to think Winners Circle are a squad that tend to get almost overly aggressive at times. At least that's what you'd say, but they always have the gun skill to back it up somehow. This is a risky one, though. They really just have one big road ridge to work with. And now as the shots start to come out, you can see that they're going to be aware of this. They know winner's circle close, but Lukarooks has used this opportunity. He's already getting across the street. He's a lot closer than the rest of his squad are, and it looks like BHE are all looking the opposite direction. Lukarooks going to be closing in, but wasn't able to find the angle onto that player up above. Sees Tick? No, he does not. Didn't end up peeking through the window, but he's got to hear him. And at the worst possible time, he looks away. Onyx takes down one, and that's the first from winner's circle to fall, but not for free. The headshot lands. Chrism taken down low, and Lukarooks just looking for Tick. Little does he know, he's already gone.
You know what I think happened here? I think that Winner's Circle fell for a little bit of a trap. I think BHE sent one person out of the compound in a buggy, and Winner's Circle kind of used that to move in, and it turned into an absolute battle both inside and outside of the compound. Tickle doing all he can on this ridge versus the Bison. Not a weapon you want to go up against close range, Chunks.
Come on, Tickle. You're better than that. That was, what, a full mag, pretty much. He nearly emptied into him. That's unfortunate, but look, it's first game of the day. The players might not be warmed up, so we'll let him off there. I think all attention has gone to Spencer now, though. He's the last remaining player for Winner's Circle. Now, they've already managed to get themselves a Nox. He's looking to flush that. Never mind. He's peeked out round the back, and he's looking for OG instead now. It's a 3v1. He's completely pinched, but if there's ever a team that I'm always favoring, it's got to be Winner's Circle, and that's why the headshot lands onto OG. Spencer takes down a second, and now it's down to a 1 versus 2. Now he's just won one of those, so surely you think another one is not far away, and it certainly isn't. 19 bullets left, 10 in the SLR. He switches away at the worst possible time, and he falls because of it. But oh my god, Spencer, that was so close and so impressive.
Can you imagine what this Winner's Circle team is going to do when they start to get all the puzzle pieces put together? The individual skill is there, Chunks, but they can't get it rolling in these early game fights here. I can't believe he almost pulled that 4v1 out of nowhere. But wow, BHE going to be able to get 4 kills and get back to 3 strong here. That's the type of early game action we like. And just as we speak about it, we've got a big fight breaking out here between DubHub and one of our Torch squads.
I mean, Torch have just kept going. I don't blame them for it. They turned away from this. When you get caught off guard like that on a rotation, you know that it's very unlikely you're actually going to be able to, first of all, find a position just on the fly that is strong enough to work with, and then to be able to salvage that teammate. It's just not worth it, and that's why Torch have carried on. But one thing they have done that I really like here is they still have vision up above, looking down, making sure the DubHub are at least controlled, and now they're going for a position where they realize, okay, we've got some ridges, we've got a compound, let's make the most out of this and take the fight. But Boat pushing up, it seems like he knows something that the rest of his team haven't quite figured out yet.
Yeah, he's trying to communicate that this Torch team, you know, although they drove away, is somewhat still trying to take a fight here. Boat's trying to get a little rewrap on the high side here. Vision for Torch, sprayed a little bit of barrel at him, kind of giving away their position. Torch seems to be using vehicles to regroup a little bit, maybe in that wood yard on the other side of the big rock here. But Boat leading the DubHub right over. I think they know they're dealing with the 3-man of Torch remaining here, and they want to fight. I'm loving this early game action.
It's what you want to see, especially from a squad like the DubHub. Boat doing what he can to jump about, but the pre-nade is already there. Vision going to throw it over the top, and it seemed like it was exactly where Boat at least was. He's able to get away, but now he's in a potential 1 versus 3 situation. Xert and the rest of the squad are behind to back up, but Cheech has taken a little bit of damage. Boat goes to spray, does the damage, but no, Vision able to trade it out. The headshot being the deciding factor in that one. Xert knows where Vision is, though, tries to follow it up with a nade, but just a little wide, and that first aid kit has popped. Havoc, though, well, he pops something else, and that's the body of Vision. Down he goes, and out for the count. 2 points on the front of DubHub now, and now also having a player advantage, especially when they get Boat back up.
Yeah, I want to see them continue this aggression. They know it's only 2 players remaining on Torch. As soon as they get Boat, I'd like to see them clear this out and find the remaining 2 members of Torch. Mick and OH appear to be pushing all the way through to the rest backside of that wood yard, trying to gain whatever they can from this broken round for Torch. Lost 1 in rotation. The DubHub continue to play aggressive here, picking up 2 early points, as you'd mentioned. We're going to take a quick zoom out on the map and see exactly what the rest of our rotating teams are doing. Skyline, TSS, MG, so strong, all in motion here, taking some shots from some third parties up at the heaven side of things. Going to be a pretty interesting pull-up for a lot of teams here. I'm going to try to get into the action and see if we can catch someone perhaps pulling up on one another, but I think little bit of a lull in the action, so we'll kind of take a good look at the map and see what's going on here before we dive into anything a little bit closer.
You know what I don't like about this kind of prison rotate we've got going on? There's so many teams clustered around it that it feels like it's only a matter of time till a team ends up actually in the prison and unable to get out. Obviously, MG have posted up over on the side. That's probably the best strategy if you are playing around that area. You absolutely do not want to go into prison. And depending on Skyline's turn at this junction, it will kind of dictate where they're forced to go. Because if they go to prison, everything's taken, they're gonna have to take it. But no, they swing down to the south. There's a lot more compounds and a considerable amount of open space on the west, but they don't care about that when shelter's up ahead, and so's Lumberyard.
Yeah, they're gonna need to be careful with this rotation. Skyline had a decent day yesterday. I think they finished around 3rd or 4th place. They're one of those teams that are about 20 points back from our first place team in the overall scoreboard. I just like to remind everyone that both yesterday and today are separate events, but there is an overall scoreboard and prize pool for the combined event. So Skyline, one of those teams trying to make up you know, a small gap on our first place team, which is that team over there on shelter, Kinetic 7, representing the EU side here. And we're going to learn a lot more about this zone and about this first game of the day once we get this first zone circle up here, Chunks.
See in a sec how it tends to go. And all the way up to the north this time. So I think my prison prediction might just hold true, because you see how many squads had consolidated, hoping it would be a bit more southern around Milta, mini Milta Power. Those are kind of areas where you get zones commonly, but not too commonly. So if you want to win those games, you know what you need to do. You know, you need to get into those positions early, just like those squads have down near mini Milta Power. But unfortunately, with this zone shifting up to the north, now it's kind of denied that. So those teams are going to have to start thinking about making a move pretty soon, as MG post up on the side. I mean, there's so much open space in the center of the circle. If it pulls north again, it's going to be a real problem.
Yeah, lots of teams on that south side. We see COR, Torch, lots of teams moving, and we have to tap into some action here. It looks like Team 9, our first place team, picking up a kill, perhaps on some rotators. Walshy for Vault Esports gonna go out here. Looks like they blew up the car. Nothing he's gonna be able to do rotating past our first place team like that. These boys do not miss shots, and a lot of action breaking out on top of the hill. The Dub Hub continuing their early round success, picking up a couple kills onto V2, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, Cheech was putting in some work. Down goes Quavo. Cert looks for another, can't quite connect onto it. Shots popping off all around. It's one of those, isn't it, where everyone is just taking those long-range shots at each other, and every now and then one of them's hitting. That southern side has to be messy, though, as all the teams start to make it in. You can see, what, 5 teams all within a kilometer of each other? Such a limited amount of space to work with, as V2 do try to send it in. This is what I was talking about around prison. There's so few positions and so many people like to play it. They're going straight in because it's all they have. And if there's one thing I can tell you about this prison, once you get in, it is almost impossible to get out.
Yeah, it looks like they lost 2 in rotation. The Dub Hub with a really nice spread on the top of that hill on the south side.
Sent Insane onto this. Sorry to interrupt you. I couldn't help but notice on the mini-map, Insane has actually dropped down here to play inside a prison. This is really unusual. I very rarely see teams opt to do this. This is a ballsy play from MG, unfortunately. I mean, there's no other way to put it. This is brave.
Yeah, Insane. I'm not sure if he knows that it's only a few players or whatnot, but he feels the confidence with the team above, and he's going to try and poke around and see what he can figure out down here. A very interesting strategy, as you said, because this is a tough spot to get out of, and a very common spot, and you can basically take 3 different spots on the high side, whether you're at where MG is, or on this huge Pride Rock, or on the west side over there. There's a ton of different places that teams like to pull up. So hanging around in this low side, the third party is bound to come at some point, and so they're just gonna have to be careful poking around trying to pick up those kills onto V2.
I love what K7 are doing. They were all the way down at Novo, for anyone who isn't aware, and as soon as this zone popped, they were like, okay, we know how we're getting into this. And honestly, I can't blame them. Look, Lip is unlooted, so it's going to have everything they need. This team should be fully kitted going into this, and I don't think they've actually taken any fights either. Look at that Warhawk as the MK. Prime example. They're not going to have a problem getting through Lip. Sure, code red. could potentially cause some problems if they go for a southern rotate. But in terms of holding the city itself, this is good. Next zone may switch things up a bit, but Lipovka endings are not unheard of, and they can still just about hold on to that. But honestly, those two compounds just northwest of Lipovka are they've just had a massive target painted on them.
Yeah, and this next circle has pulled even further to the north, so even these teams in prison gonna have to find their way out with this third circle. Torch coming up the south side from Mill to Power. Oh, just too many teams to count that have to find their way into a comfortable spot. And just as you said, K7 probably going to be the most comfortable, working their way through an unlooted Lipovka and then perhaps
we
up
need
the
to get
hill
to
late.
prison. I'm so sorry to interrupt you here. It's finally kicking off at prison now. Acid Burn was watching up above as Insane started to actually bait out shots onto Ratatat. That's really smart. And MG have just, I mean, they've just held this perfectly. This is exactly what I was saying you should do if this situation happens, and they just knew it. They must have watched yesterday's VODs.
Well, hopefully they know now that they've got a kill onto Ratatat that if they're paying attention to the kill feed, they only are dealing with one more player down here. And unfortunately for Sparky and V2, he's going to have to move out of there sooner than later, as the blue is going to be touching him with this next circle up. But we've got fights breaking out all over the map as Torch, Code Red Gaming, all picking up kills onto different teams in rotation here. Dubhub gonna lose one in rotation. I'm gonna check into Boats. It looks like they lost 2 in rotation. Already picking up 4 kills. Boats gonna have to be careful here, pulling up onto the MK there, Chunks.
Beautifully done from Warhawk to catch him out of the vehicle. And look, this is the danger of Lip, isn't it? You are able to sneak your way in there, no one sees, but then as soon as that rotation comes out, well, it's no going back for those squads. On the other side of things, though, Code Red just completely fell out of nowhere. It was Torch who were able to clean that one up. So really impressive on the other side of Lip. And honestly, K7 could probably try and get involved in this if they wanted to. But as I said, just happy where they are. Now off to the world-famous Hanging Gardens. The Sharky, the last man alive, making a final stand for his team at the top of this building as Unknown, just sneaking down the bottom, avoiding being detected more than anything.
We saw this TSN squad play very aggressive yesterday. I think they finished in the top 3, but tons of kills. We saw them in the end game as a 4-man a lot of times, and they're actually dealing with Sharky. Now they've got one more in the kitchen. We missed them the first time around, but Teak is going to be able to deal with them. 3 quick kills, a little bit of body shooting going on, and VE is out in, I believe, 14th place. 3 quick kills for this TSN squad. As we joined in a little late, we didn't see exactly who crashed who there, but a nice clean wipe for 20 Squad North.
They are pretty happy with this one. As BM lose 1, it looks like Torch now potentially being held out as well by MG, sorry, so they do have to be careful. The circle has centered over on Mansion, so this team up on Hanging Gardens does not have to make a move. They can just stay up on the roof. And look, if anyone's played PUBG, they know the rule that J Compound wins the match. So surely we've already got a winner. Surely we should just end the game and move to the next one, right?
Yeah, the game is going to go to TSS, as you said. That is an absolute power spot. They're going over to that bunker up top. They looks like they've got pretty good scout on it, but right now MG has to look out. We've seen what BHE OG can do as a 1-man yesterday, putting on an absolute show with the M249. He's going to drop Sizzle quickly with the 4x spray on the M4 here, and he's got Tick with the Groza behind him, as well as Chrism on the low side, kind of bringing a vehicle out of that mini compound, as you can see on your mini map. And Sparky the solo comes up and gets a knock thirst onto Acid Burn. The solo for V2 playing a factor here as well.
That just fell apart completely for MG. They went from being completely in control of that hillside to giving it all away. They tunneled onto the players inside of prison, the players coming in, and it allowed BHE to sneak up behind and cause some serious problems. Now MG, I believe with only 1 player left standing, caught between V2, BHE, V2, BHE, and Avita. I thought they were all on one team for a second, but no, there are actually that many squads still standing around prison.
Yeah, and the solo for V2 actually ended up picking up 2 kills onto MG there. So some patience playing off for Sparky here. High IQ, knows that the blue isn't going to chunk too much, but he does know that he has Kinetic 7 EU waiting for him near the bunker, and I'm sure he knows BHE is to the right side. He heard OG pick up that kill onto Sizzle for MG. So Sparky doing all he can, plenty of loot and smokes and util behind him. I'm very interested to see how long this solo can survive here.
I mean, look, he's managed to sneak away, and I don't think Avita actually know any, oh, sorry, Team 9, whoever that is, actually know anything about him. I mean, he hasn't made any noise. He hasn't really taken any shots. And now that BHE are moving in, as soon as one of these players shoots, Team 9 turn around, and they don't care about Sparky anymore. He is free to get in where he wants, and there it is. Sweeney goes down. Team 9 going to turn their attention, surely. This should be a free entrance now for Sparky.
Going to be very interesting. The third party for BM, actually another MK all the way on the mansion side of things, picks up that kill onto Sweeney for Team 9, down to just 3 players now, and they have no idea that Sparky is creeping up on the backside. I'm going to try to get an aerial view on this and see what Sparky is thinking of. Oh, they're starting to direct their attention. There you go. They have found him. Sparky has to use the smokes at this point. Team
really
9.
Impressive to still survive this long as Kizza opens up, tries to land something, but the nade is too close. Kizza's going to be going down. 2 players left up now for Team 9, but Sparky has been eliminated. It's the third party flush, actually, that is likely to come out if they can't get him up quick. BHE have been able to remain as a 3-man. We're still a little bit of a ways to go, but I can't help but notice, Stento, how much open space there is ahead of both these teams. I mean, sure, Team 9 have a bit of a dip to work with, and I think that should just about get them in. But Team 7 pretty much have to run through an open field here, as do pretty much every other team in the lobby.
Yeah, it's really blood money. Team 14 with the full spread on mansion, and almost nobody else is in zone. And I have to click out of the map because we got a fight going on here. QDex down to 2 HP. He's got 2 members of Team 9 there, but the third party, excuse me, no, BHE just steps over the top. It's going to be OG with the M4 taking him down, and they still 2 members up, trying to deal with, I believe, 3 members of BHE who have been doing very well as a 3-man.
BHE are just surviving. I mean, that's the only thing I can say right now. They are somehow making it work, and they're also making it work very aggressively. Chrism starts to push up, as does OG. He's going to be able to lend shots onto Kizza. Tero's able to trade it, and it takes OG down. Chrism also eliminated, and well, I might have just cast a Curtis BHE, because now with Tick, the last one up, he's spotted out by Doc X, and Super Soldiers finish up the last one. Torch with 2 down, but only 9 teams remain.
A pretty impressive hold here. This is our first place team from yesterday, already with 6 kills on the board, and they were getting absolutely aggressed on by this BHE team. I think a little bit of the third parties might have kind of been the downfall of BHE there, but an impressive hold from Tyro to pick up, I believe, 2 kills on the side shortly after he got a revive onto his teammate there. So really impressive hold by these guys to stay 3 up. They're going to be able to sneak into the south side of zone, and just like that, down to 7 teams, 23 players, and we're just past 21 minutes in this match. And again, Blood Money going to be extremely happy with their little bit of a split here, but they're not going to get much action. Most of the action is breaking out on the north side here between TSS and Skyline.
Xenos now going to be able to find one, lands the spray, and that's the end of them. Quickly down goes Team Skyline, but they make it into the top 8, so they should be able to garner themselves some points, as now TSS start to make a move out. Now, they have something that most teams actually don't have here, which is cover. They've got a beautiful forest, a load of hills ahead of them, so they shouldn't have too much problem on that front. The real issue that they're going to face is from playing that northern and not having many teams actively fighting them because of the cover. They've been denied a lot of info, so the only info they can really garner is shots and then kill feed. You can't really get a read of, okay, there's 3 players in this dip, we can go and crash it. So it's going to be tricky for them. Team 9, though, they get themselves a knock, and that might just be the opening to make a move as the next phase gets ready to pop, and it will move away, so now it is just becoming a huge game of chicken.
Yeah, Team 9 with just tagged up vests. They've been battling it out since the beginning of this last zone, sneaking in, getting knocks onto that So Strong squad on the northeast side of them. They've got QDex and Kizza kind of jump scouting their next play. They did sneak a couple cars into the edge with them, so they might be able to bring a little bit of mobile cover into wherever they do choose to go. It's going to be QDex pushing forward, trying to figure out exactly what they can play here. He's going to find a couple rocks here, call the rest of the team over with the cars, and they're going to try to manage on this south side as best they can on the edge.
QDex looking out to try and find just any shot through that window. He has Oh, the slimmest angle, but opts not to take it. He'll see the second though, and that's a free
What a knock.
headshot. Team 9 have to absolutely push this now. This is an all or nothing moment. They could have pushed, they could have got aggressive, made a hero play, but instead the knock likely just gonna get revived by TSN. Tero's still looking out, but honestly, Team 9, yeah, it's rough. I mean, look, they've got cover, but they're not far enough inside zone. They know they have to move, and the later they leave it, the harder it's going to get. Fingers crossed they'll be able to capitalize on a fight that's already happening in third party and then make it in. But the more they tunnel vision, the more they take long range shots, the more util they're burning through, the more meds they're burning through, and more important, the more teams know where they are.
Yeah, it's a great point. It was perhaps their opening to push. It looks like TSN is 4 deep in there, so getting a knock there might have been their option. They are going to get circled out, so you have to wonder if that was their opening and how it's going to come to affect them. They do still maybe have both cars in play, so maybe if they re-knock, maybe they'll consider crashing it again. But time is not in their favor here on the edge here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is our first place team from yesterday, Team 9, and they're looking to start out strong here, but little to work with here, and we're gonna have to keep a close eye on them and figure out if that was exactly their opening to push in or not.
We will see. 40 seconds approximately left, and most teams have just managed to edge their way in barely. Interesting from Randy to be using a Mosin this late in the game. I'm not sure whether he's maybe had the option to change and turned it down, but looking at the number of kills that Super Soldiers have right now, 1, you'd maybe think that it's just been a case of not actually taking engagements as opposed to actively turning it down, considering they were in that southeastern compound, I believe. So they've had a pretty isolated game, even if it does mean they've been taking a lot of shots. As Randy looks out for that window, 8 seconds left till that phase 7, and this is really going to be almost a decisive circle.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think they've only got 1 kill here, so you wonder how much they've really had to loot. But Circle is going to pull away from these guys and from Team 9, which we see Randy scoping out. Going to be very interesting to see how these guys manage their way into zone. Both of these teams, I believe, have a vehicle or 2 to their name. And it looks like their best bet might be to try to send it around to this northwest side of zone. But Mansion is so heavily favored in this zone with the fence. There's 2 full teams of 4 in there now, and I think it's just a matter of moments. But before we see a fight break out, here we go.
There it is. TSS are going to be the ones to take the initial damage as Tiny nearly falls. He's going to be closing the distance a little bit more. Merrill in hand, looking to find it, but the Molotov lands down first. The first aid kit will come through, but unfortunately, it's just not enough. That's the time where a bandage would have saved you. Tiny's going to be going down and almost out on his own. Quirks is close, but he needs to get around that corner as Netting covers. So it looks like it's going to be a crawl back instead. Nades still do come out. Little do they know that the peak will come through as well. A complete whiff of a mag onto Andy C as he is able to connect in the end. Netting that is not ideal. The nade going to be coming out, but surely he's far enough away already to be able to avoid it. Let's not forget as well that all shots have opened things up, so Super Soldiers have now backed onto this. They made the crash. BM take down 2. Andy C with a beautiful nade, able to deny the revive attempt. Insanos throws down a flash, thinks there's still a player on the back, but has no idea what he's truly up against. TSS right now, it might just be a case of them laying low and staying safe. I say that, Netting goes down. It's all onto Insanos, and wow, Team 4, how the mighty have fallen, going from arguably one of the strongest positions to forcing a disadvantageous push before it was really required. That's unfortunate from them.
And it's been all Andy. I believe he's got all 3 knots onto this squad. You wonder how aggressive the comms are in this party. It looks like they have to deal with So Strong pushing on the south side. It looks like 1 trade came out from BM Jaeger onto the So Strong squad, but Fingers is there for a trade onto Zimbo. They're trying to deal with 2 teams at the same time. Jaeger doing a great job to pick up 2 kills for the squad while Andy continues to watch the north side. TSS is going to be back to 2 strong on that north side, I believe. So they're still kind of in between 2 teams here, managing pretty well. 5 kills already here, Chunks, but an absolute mayhem of a battle breaking out here in Mansion.
Phase 8 now. For anyone who maybe hasn't played too much PUBG, this is going to be an important one. This is technically the final zone. Sure, we do have Phase 9, but it will come to a dot at the dead center of this white circle. Honestly, if you want a compound to be in, you want to be in that western building over in Mansion. Take control of it, be dead center, and hold everyone out. But I think everyone's going to have the same mindset, so I don't think anyone will actually be able to make it. QX tries to throw out the Molotov, nearly gets his head taken off, but he will be able to find a kill in return. That makes it 2 players left for TSS, but the other side of things, 4 kills to go along with it, making it into the top 5. Not a bad game, considering that most of the squads that are in here right now haven't actually been too aggressive. They've just been pretty comfortable and hopping compound to compound.
I didn't see when Team 9 wrapped all the way around to the north side. I assume they took the vehicles and just crashed that 2-story red while we were watching this battle between TSS and BM with Andy Cave. So it's a great timed flank by them using their cars. And again, they've already picked up 1 kill on TSS. I'm sure they know how many they're dealing with in the building. It's just going to be a matter of how intense these third parties are from TSN, not TSS. And it looks like Team 9 now pushing their way into zone. They're going to be able to smoke their way along the fence line here. Tyro leading the way, perhaps knows there's nobody in this next building, but TSN got all sorts of angles on that south side. Gonna sneak his way into the building. Just luckily barely gets in that window. Karm does get a knock onto QDex, though. I believe that's gonna be the end of QDex's round. He does have Kizza in the building behind him, perhaps trying to consider what his next route to zone is going to be.
My only complaint with Team 9 is just their lack of aggression, unfortunately. Like, look at earlier on, they got themselves a knot. They probably could have made a move and would have had at least a couple of kills out of it, even if not survival. The same thing kind of happened here where they had a really good idea, but the execution was maybe a little bit too delayed. Having 3 players rotate super split, especially after your first player has been shot at, is a really risky move. The smoke wall was great, but it didn't cover them from the side angle. So very unfortunate from Team 9, but if they're able to just feel a little bit more confident in their playstyle, I think it'll pay them off massively. As Kids goes down to the zone, that should unfortunately be the end of them. Tero gets taken out, but is still alive as TSN start to swarm. This could be the play of the century if he pulls it off. 7 kills already on the board.
Yeah, Team 9, Tyro's found his way into one of the center spots in the zone. TSS continuing to frag out, takes down BM Jaeger. Tyro got his ADS red dot on this window. It's going to be a very interesting end zone with the broken teams, all different angles on each other. It's really just TSN with the full team of 4. Karm has the ump and he's trying to figure out exactly how they can get into this building with Tyro guarding it with that red dot. Meanwhile, we have Blood Money and TSS still fighting on the edge of zone. Andy Cave still doing what he can to fight here. Oh, SS coming from the side and get both of those kills between fingers and example. We're down to our final 4 teams here. Andy Cave sneaking his way through the smoke. Knows that this team on the north side is wiped, so he's trying to creep his way towards the west a little bit.
He doesn't know, though. He doesn't know about Tyro inside the building. You've got to bear in mind, this is something that only TSN were actually able to get the info out of. Andy C going to be jumping on Tyro! You got to win those! You got to be watching! That is not the way to go down. Andy C hops up and finds himself a 3-point. I think he is probably shocked right now, as are TSN, as they start to throw a bit of util through. The flashbang comes out, but Andy C just going to be holding strong. Jaeger does go down, which leaves them now as only 2, make it 1 as Team takes down another. It's a 3-team situation. A player hops through the window. Andy looks away at the worst possible time, though. There it is. TSN pick up the chicken dinner. 6 kills to go along with it, and a beautiful circle specifically to start off the evening.
What a crazy end zone there. SS playing a true spoiler for, I believe, Blood Money, who did a really good job to get into that building and take out the solo there. Tyro, as you said, he should have been watching the window a little bit closer, but lots of different angles he needed to focus on there. So a really good job by 20 Squad North here, holding strong as a 4-man, keeping all 4 players up in a crazy zone like that truly pays off. 6 kills and the chicken dinner. They're going to get out to a great jump here. So strong, 6 kills in the second place, and rounding out our top 3 is going to be Blood Money with 6 kills. Whew, what an intense first round. We're going to be right back with match 2 on Erangel as well, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody, to the Main Gaming High Roller event number 2. We are dropping in on match 2, and as we look quickly at the map, it looks like our plane path is going from George Pool all the way over to Lipovka. I know we've got a couple teams that like to land on the south side military base. A couple things like that going to be pretty hard for some of these teams to reach. So it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust on this northern plane path. Welcome, everybody. We are just, again, dropping in on match 2 of the evening. This is our second day of a 2-day event. And we've got the best, most competitive PUBG teams on console here, battling it out from across the world. Honestly, UK, South America, and heavily NA represented here today. And it looks like a pretty good spread across the center of the map here, Chunks. And maybe a little bit of a hot drop happening on the top of the map near Severny. I'm gonna make sure I get us up into that action really quick, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like we have Code Red Gaming dropping with K7 here. Looks like they've evenly divided themselves across the two sides of the road. Aimbot taking this farm building. We'll tap into that perspective.
Oh, so it appears I've been muting this whole time.
There you are now. I hear you. I'll make sure.
The worst thing is I was just saying to you, like, hey, I can't see the screen. I can't see the screen. Okay.
We're back.
So there we go. Now we know what's going on. Severny does, in fact, have a hot drop after all.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm so sorry about that.
No apologies. That stuff happens. And it looks like we might have 2 hot drops, actually, Chunks. I think we saw this hot drop last time, maybe towards the end of yesterday's matches. We saw BM land with MG here. I think BM got a pretty clean wipe on MG, so perhaps looking for a little bit of revenge. It looks like MG have taken some of the bigger buildings, some of the apartments, the police, the courthouse over there, and Blood Money kind of on the north side of this compound. I'm a little bit more interested in this Severny drop. I think we're more likely to see a little bit of a fight here, but until maybe I'm stand corrected, let's hang out here in Severny with 2 of our top teams here, K7 NA and Code Red Gaming, having a great showing yesterday.
Absolutely. Gav going to be looting up right now. And honestly, I like what Code Red are doing. They're taking it a bit chill. They're making sure they've got time to loot and everything. And neither team is really forcing this fight. This is kind of the ideal hot drop on both fronts. Sure, we want to see these teams scrap it out, but I think we both agree that we want to see it scrapped out on a fair fight where everyone has decent weapons, decent armor, than just seeing one team get fully stat and the other team just get blitzed immediately. So as Core now start to move away, we may see a bit of a retreat, or it could be a rotation. Looks like K7 have hopped in a vehicle of their own. Honestly, if I was them, I'd be going for no lean right now. It is just a prime position, center of the zone, or even maybe heading up Starver Hill. But it looks like instead, crossroads are being scouted out, and that might be a strong late game position for them.
Yeah, pretty smart plays by both of these teams to just get out of there. K7, as we mentioned during the drop, this is one of our teams that usually drops military base, but because of the northern plane path, they didn't have access to it, and it almost created an early hot drop for us. But K7 and Code Red Gaming both said no. Let's get a little bit of loot and let's consider zone before we take a kind of a crazy RNG hot drop. Pretty smart plays. Looks like K7 going to try to get a couple more vehicles, get a little bit more loot in this compound here. They're going to be pretty happy hanging out on the north side of zone. I'm pretty sure they're familiar with that. You know, maybe only Code Red Gaming went north. The rest of the map might have went to the south side. And if you take a look at our map, just strewn about all throughout the center of the map here. And really no hot drops actually taking place. There's still 2 teams in Yasnaya, but lots of other teams finding their way to zone slowly but surely, rather quickly here, as no team's really that comfortable in zone. The teams might be a little bit scarce on loot here, as this zone is kind of... Ooh!
Oh my god! What was that, Prodigy? How?
Iron
the
sight?
iron sights?
There's no scope on that gun! Don't do it again.
Look. No, surely not. Sorry, I'm in shock right now. What the hell did Prodigy just bust out? I never see bolt shots like that.
Look, he's
honestly,
recording it. He double tapped his center button to hit X. He recorded it
right now.
We got it over here too for you, Prodigy. I'm sure the chat will take care of you, my brother. What an iron sight shot. His team there for the instant flush. Code Red Gaming, although they avoided the hot drop with K7, end up losing one to just an absolute insane solo shot from Prodigy here. I am glad that we somehow were in his perspective there. What are the odds?
I'm at a loss for that. Is I never see people hit players out of vehicles with bolts, and it sounds bad. This is not me trying to talk down on consoles, but the fact is it is so much harder to shoot a bolt on console than it is on PC. So that is just so impressive for me, because I know I couldn't do that with a mouse and keyboard, never mind with a controller.
Yeah, absolutely insane. It looks like he's still kind of basking in the glory, eating a little bit of wall here. We aren't frozen. That is his actual gameplay. We're going to zoom out and see what the rest of our teams are there. Big shout out to Prodigy on K7 with that shot. It looks like BHE taking some shots from Torch in rotation. I'm going to try to tap into... Hey, why don't we go to 20 Squad North, our first place team from match 1. Looks like they got 2 people, Lob Riot and a friend, trying to meet up with the other side of TSN, who have pulled up into Junkyard, a pretty good spot to have, but they're going to be pretty stuck in that location. As you can see, it's a little bit below a hill and you're confined into those walls, but a really good spot to have end game, and they're going to be pretty happy with that location, I think, Chunks. But lots of teams in rotation, still trying to figure out exactly where they can hold for this first zone, and we have plenty of time until this center up, a little over 2.5 minutes still.
Absolutely, it gives teams to have kind of that chance, because you got to think, for the teams that make it to the later game, there's very limited time between games to actually structure a game plan and think, okay, this is what we did badly last game, let's try and improve it. When you're in a situation like TSN are right now, where you're pretty well looted, you've got an amazing late game position, then you should just make the most out of it. Talk about your strategies, talk about things you want to improve, because sometimes, that extra minute or 2 of downtime can make a world of difference. I will say, though, I personally do not like TSN's compound. That's not because it's a weak compound per se. It's just because so many people try and rotate through it. It always ends up being a bloodbath around this area.
Yeah, it's also, given the right angles, I don't really know if you can maintain your vehicles in this spot. So it's likely that if you go to this location, you're kind of stuck there. I think they've got a bike stuck in between the crates here. So, you might be able to keep a bike or a vehicle or 2 safe, but it for a number of reasons can be a sticky situation to move out of. However, early zone, they're going to be pretty happy just, in this first zone until we see this circle up. So lots of teams kind of just waiting for that first pop.
No, it's just a bit of a waiting game, honestly. I don't expect too much to go down. I do find it interesting that a couple squads have positioned over towards Starboard, though. I do find that a little surprising this early on in the game. And typically you have that kind of taking place a lot later. You'll maybe have 1 or 2 teams up on that hill, and then if the circle pulls up north, it's a different story. But honestly, taking a look at things right now and the way that teams are positioned, if this does pull up to the north, it will be messy, that's for certain.
Yeah, Torch pulling up on this little bit of a hill here, and they're trying to scout out into So Strong's compound, but elsewhere we do have, looks like TSN, we just left that location, are gonna rip Joey out of a vehicle. Skyline rotating a little bit too close to this junkyard compound, and maybe TSN just held their fire long enough to let Joey come a little bit too close, and they're gonna take him down and pick up a quick kill. Our first place team so far today, picking up another kill point quickly and adding on to their total.
Lob Riot just going to be looking out for any stragglers, but nothing as of yet. Phase 2 getting ready to pop in about 15 seconds. We'll see roughly where that ends up going. As we hit the 10-minute mark, though, only 3 players have fallen. So it shows that there is definitely a bit of pressure starting to build fairly early on. And that's the nature of circles like this, isn't it? They are so hard to navigate that teams are a little bit all over the place sometimes, especially now that Starber's still in, and so is the Lake, as well as Yasnaya. So 3 drastically different positions to be played here, and 4 if you take into account the warehouses and open terrain around where Skyline and Code Red currently are.
It looks like TSN trying to move a little bit more center into the zone early. They were okay in that location, but they decided not going to be the spot that they want to hold as this game progresses. It looks like Lawbright on the bike trying to scout into this dead end compound. He's going to have just a one man of Code Red waiting for him. I think he hears the rest of the team rolling up, and he's going to reconsider this rotation and probably head back to this compound. They don't really need to move from it. It still has a decent chance to have some good location end game. So Lawbright doing some safe scouting for his team, gonna make sure he keeps the bike again in between those two crates so that he doesn't lose his mobility. And again, just some interesting plays to see from a first place team. Watch how they scout out their next plays, and that type of thing is always interesting to me.
Absolutely is now DubHub just on top of that hillside, doing what they can to keep an eye out. But honestly, there isn't a whole lot they can do from this current position. It's one of those, isn't it, that's kind of amazing come the late game, but in the early game is not the best. So as it just becomes a bit of a waiting game for the DubHub, their biggest focus has to be not going cold, if that makes sense. Just making sure that you are paying attention, that you are alert, and when the time comes, you are ready to fight, because it's not going to be easy when you've been sitting around all game, not really taking too many shots, then switching that into a mode where you're capable of taking on a team that's already eliminated two other squads.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we saw DubHub several times yesterday in amazing center position, and they elect this spread. You know, it's almost like they have too good of a position and too big of a spread here. I really want to see them hold 4 up in this. You know, the big hats off to their IGL, whoever, putting them in great positions. They just need to make sure that they don't lose one with the spread that we've seen them playing, because we've seen them pick up some good kills because of this position. But then a couple times kind of got overwhelmed because they were almost in too good of a position, trying to do too much with too many different teams pushing them. So I'm going to be very interested to see how this unfolds for DubHub. They were in the center of the action several times yesterday. And I gotta just give a heads up shout out to their IGL, because they're constantly in really good center positions. We do see a fight breaking out between MG and V2 here on the edge of zone. I'm not exactly sure what began this fight, but it looks like MG aggressing onto the knock. They're gonna have a couple of V2 members spread on the high side waiting for them. The kill is gonna get raked by one of the torch members, but MG getting aggressive. They're gonna have to deal with Quavoff, Linkadox, and Sparky on the high side here, dealing with smokes. Quavoff gets a quick knock, retreats into the smoke for a heal, and he's got Sparky wrapping the low side. We gotta quickly have a 3-on-3, and some third parties playing a factor as well. Jaeger getting another knock onto MG and quickly thirsting Insane.
I'm worried about this one, honestly, from Sparky, because you see him kind of tunnel vision. Sure, he's paying attention to that compound, but the question becomes how much. Now, those two players down there have been shot at by another team, so it looks like they're not going to be too much of a threat for him after all, but he is still very exposed from the south. And with it being phase 2, there's so many teams still outside the circle. You have to be careful. Now that phase 3's popped, though, the water's still in. It's just going to be a case of potentially sending Nolene, sending Yash, just sending any of the compounds that you can grab, because there is not much left to work with.
Look at this, Chunks. We have Vault Esports, Walshy leading the way, cracking a quick drink as he crouch walks up the hill here. DubHub, I'm not sure I have any idea that this is coming.
Walshy, looking out, just waiting.
He's waiting for the boys to... He's waiting for the lads. This is one of our teams from the UK playing here. Walshy leading the way for his squad. He knows the DubHub is right up above. He's just being a little bit cautious with how he pushes. It looks like Cheech might have caught a little bit of sight of him there, and the third-party shots ringing out towards Walshy in the backside, so the DubHub might have an idea that he's here. Nades are going out from Walshy. He tries a second one in the area of Cheech and Havoc. The third party, excuse me, his teammate Zachary from the low side takes down Havoc with the M4 spray.
Really, really impressive as Walshy starts to move up a little bit more. He is actually, in fact, going to be slowing down. That could be dangerous. Of course, he needed to get that flashbang out, but at what cost? The spray comes through, connects on the damage as now he goes to reposition. Now is the time where Unknown needs to peek, and that's exactly what he does. Fires a little bit of damage, but Zer is there watching the off angle just in case. Walshy move it up bit by bit, not to give too much away, not to expose himself to both, but never mind, he doesn't realize the actual position he's taken. Unknown is able to push up alongside Sharky to find a knock apiece, but he doesn't see the player laying down prone. He maybe thought it was a dead body.
Yeah, the third party starting to play just an insane factor here. I think it's mainly this Torch squad shooting both teams in the sides. It's going to be only one up for VE here. I'm not exactly sure if the dub hub made it out of there. I think the third party ended up finishing off the dub hub. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now they're totally out of this match. VE gonna be able to get back to 2 strong here, but a crazy fight, a nice push there by VE. Might have wanted to be a little bit more aggressive so that the third party didn't play a factor. But some impressive shooting there from VE, pushing onto the dub hub there. And we kind of spoke about it earlier on, the dub hub in such a good position, but spread a little bit too thin, it seems, at times. And again, they're gonna unfortunately pay for it with the third parties and that aggressive push there by VE.
Very, very unfortunate there, but unfortunately, that's the risk that you take. Is TSS going to be holding up top, looking down the hill towards TSN? In fact, opting to turn away. This is an interesting one. As I mentioned, TSN's compound ends up being a bit of a bloodbath in a lot of situations. It's pretty tricky to hold on to because of how many teams rotate past, but they've done an amazing job of being able to defend it and keep teams away. No one's really pushed into them. Now, TSS are definitely scouting it, and there's the possibility they're going to try and move down the hill, but at least for now, it looks like they're relatively split, and that's why Phase 4 pops. It's going over to the east. It's cut out the water, thankfully, but these are some tough rocks to try and get around. Anyone who maybe hasn't played the game will not realize just how vertical those hills are and just how exposed you end up being when you're on them in a position trying to get anywhere near someone like V or Code Red. But up on the northern side, it looks like maybe Skyline are trying to poke around towards K7, Winner's Circle, getting involved onto BHE. It's all about to pop off as soon as this zone moves now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we still have 3-4 teams leaving Yasnaya. I think this is our best view for now. We're going to try to make sure we get into whatever fight here. And as Chunk said, this zone, just to give you a little aerial view of the topography, insane place for an end zone. Up and down, just doesn't stop. It scales its way all the way up to the Stalber Hill, and just like that, shots ringing out on the north side. Skyline doing their best to gatekeep K7. Destroyer is going to go down to the spray over Merta. We've seen this man doing some crazy work with this M4 in this tournament so far.
And look, he's not disappointed. Amerta's still going to be waiting. Obviously, Skyline don't have any kills on the board at the moment, so it definitely feels like they're a little bit hungry for them. Destroyer should be bleeding out now. That gets the first on the board. That really kicks it into gear and lets Skyline know that, hey, this was a solo player. There was no one over there supporting him. Let's focus ahead of us now and try and finish off what's at least a 3-man, at best a solo.
Yeah, K7 again is a very, very frag heavy team, so they're usually not afraid to, you know, work their way into zone by fighting directly at them. But it looks like K7 gonna elect to kind of wrap around to the edge, and again, we have fights breaking out on all sides of the map. Torch heavily fighting BM on the edge of zone here. It looks like it's 3 players remaining for BM. One's gonna go down. Mushu to the MK auto spray of Jaeger, and it's just a bloodbath on the edge of zone. So Strong is hanging out on the low side of this all, and there's just so many teams trying to scamper their way into the edge of zone here, and it's just absolute mayhem.
It is so tricky for all of these squads as Torch now try and take this fight. They've got 6 kills on the board already. BHE going to be finishing off B2's Ghost. All he needs to do is land 1, and down goes Example. SS have lost another, and that's Doc X, the final to fall. Jaeger picks that one up, but surely Torch have heard this, and they are focusing in this direction. He is just waiting for Jaeger to open up, and as soon as he sees that head, he's going to take the shots, opt into spam. It doesn't quite work out how he planned. Jaeger nearly returns the fire with the MK, and that would have been a risky one. 12 teams now remain, and that makes it 8 for Torch already.
Yeah, what a great start. They were just in a perfect position here, held strong, keeping Blood Money out of zone. Jaeger not able to perform some sort of miracle on the edge there with the auto MK. Meanwhile, we're seeing Team 9 pop off on the edge of zone. We've seen them do some pretty impressive work with, again, little to nothing on the edge. It looks like they got 4 kills on the board. They're going to try to get a revive onto Kizza. Tyro doing all he can on these rocks. Sometimes very tough to maneuver your feet amongst these cliff sides, but they've got smoke on Kizza. Sweeney's going to be able to complete that revive here, and these guys are going to have a tough rotation into zone here. It looks like maybe a solo from the Torch NA squad hanging out in Team 13 on the edge of your screen there. We know that Torch EU is hanging up on the high side just beyond that, and Code Red Gaming still very comfortable in this dead end compound, there's just so many different fights breaking out at the same time that sometimes it's best to just look over this map and see the sight lines and see who is shooting at who. Looks like Torch ripping some shots towards BHE, who have to work their way in from that top edge, but they're gonna have to go in right through WC. We've seen Winner Circle get into some crazy fights in the beginning of the match, but what I want to see is what they can do in the end match here, Chunks.
Absolutely, as now Winner Circle try to make the most out of this position in the bottom of the bowl. They need to get the high ground and quick. Tyro will be going down for Team 9 as Torch start to pick up even more. Now, Torch are repositioning to potentially almost take a fight against Winner Circle. However, they have taken splits down a little bit further south with the vehicle. So it looks like Winner Circle, if they do engage onto one of these, it could potentially be dangerous for them. Pinch between two squads, but at the same time, this bowl, it might just work for cover.
Yeah, BHE giving a little bit of a 2-1 split. Tickle with the 4x M4, but it's gonna be Tick taking him down with the mini.
Really, really impressive as now Lukarooks and Tickle both going to be out of the fight. It leaves Spencer and Lucky remaining, doing everything they can to try and find just a little bit of an opening. But as the nades come through, it's going to be made a whole lot harder. Onyx up top goes the spray. Down goes one. It's Spencer, the final left. Not for long, and that's the end of him. Team 11 out in 9th position, narrowly missing out on the placement points. But Prodigy, well, he might just be able to get himself a kill point out of this one.
We were just talking about it, weren't we, Chunks? We saw the pinch coming onto Winner Circle. They tried to hold BHE out, but a little bit of a third party from Torch on the side, and some great shooting from BHE, holding their own as they push into zone. Picking up 5 kills here, but it kind of broke down right as that fight ended. Another nice snipe from Prodigy, taking down Chrism, and Onyx is doing all he can as a solo here. Just fights breaking out all over the map. Torch, I'm very interested to see how we saw them have 8 kills earlier on. I'm wondering what they're at now. They're already up to 9, and they've got some more coming their way. 10 on the board now. Still fighting their way down the edge of zone. They're going to have a little bit of a plateau to work with here, but they're going to slide towards the rocks and perhaps try to take a better angle on this fight down with VE, K7, and I think one member of TSN is also in that area. I'm going to try to get a little bit of an aerial view on this situation so you guys can kind of figure out what these players are working through here. The mountainside is just absolutely unpredictable. You don't know who is hiding where. We have just seen teams pushing onto third parties as they try to find their way into zone. We're still watching BHE Onyx. He must have a slew of first aids over there. He's still got 7 chunks finding his way into zone, and Time's actually going to play, as long as he manages to keep ripping those first aids, Time's going to kind of play a factor in here in perhaps making Torch forget about his location.
I mean, you've got to think it'll help. I mean, Onyx is just sneaking in behind. He's not really taken any shots, but he has taken a whole lot of damage from the zone. My biggest fear here is not necessarily that he actually gets shot, but the fact that he tries to heal too late. But as he makes it in, has a tree for cover, and that's a whole lot more than he bargained for. He sees Ghost, but he has taken some damage of his own, so he's got the 4x out. Now sees splits off on the side, but it's too late. Prodigy from range able to take him down, but quickly returned onto his K7, lose that player in return.
Yeah, it looked like it was TSS from the west side, and they're trying to get aggressive on this. I love the aggression as a 2-man. Already 4 kills as a squad. They've got K7 Prodigy down. I'm sure they know Destroyer went out earlier, so they've got to figure out a way to work through Warhawk. And I believe Aimbot is somewhere up there as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might just be Warhawk left. Excuse me. There you go. Only 2 players for K7. I thought they had a third one hiding there. But quick work from Netton and Tony. 6 kills for 20 Squad South. And they have a little bit of a zone here. A package dropping right nearby. He's going to need a new vest off that, Chunks. He's going to go right for it, wasting no time at all. Down to just 4 teams. That happened really quickly. Code Red Gaming still in that dead end compound. Torch we saw having a great round on this north side there. None of these teams are going to be full. Down to just 2 teams of 3 and 2 teams of 2.
And closing up the gap. I mean, the Grozer in hand is so dangerous, and if you're coming up against it, you better be scared, especially alongside that 3 gear on the form. On his teammate, I should say. It's now the circle just creeping its way through. And it does become a bit of a stalemate for now. Torch obviously doing what they can to try and get aggressive onto VE, but unfortunately they do have hard cover and there's not really much that Torch can do about it. Ghost is there anchoring, but the rest of the team ideally would like to get a little bit further down the hill in a minute or two to make sure that they're a bit more central. The danger then comes from the team down at No Lean, Code Red looking up to try and take shots. It's going to be so rough for Torch here if the zone goes anywhere other than north.
Yeah, as you said, a little bit of a end game lull here. Circle's going to dictate what happens, and we're kind of just waiting to see who pushes where. Tony's got to be careful with that Groza in his hand. He's pushing a little bit too far into the sightlines of Code Red Gaming, I believe. Maybe that was actually Torch with the SLR up top there, but VE is going to be perhaps the most pleased with this most recent circle. They're pretty center with hard coverage. Just going to be hard for them to fight out of this location. A very tricky zone for all of these teams, as a matter of fact, Chunks. All broken into partial teams. Very interesting rotation going to come out of here from Code Red Gaming. They're electing to use a vehicle and perhaps take this fight with Torch on the edge. They're going to have to watch out for the two teams of two, maybe third partying this from the side.
It's going to be a risky one as Terrace starts to reposition the vehicle. Traves is going to be able to take down one. Smoke comes down for a little bit of extra support, but still need to be careful when making the cross. No Lean is a really strong compound, but it's so hard to get out of, especially with the squad up top. You can see Splits is there trying to take some fire over towards the rotating players, but wasn't quite able to land any in the end. Terrace looking out to find an opening. Shots getting ready to come through onto TSS. One shot and one to the head. Beautifully done, but not enough to find the follows. Traves just anchoring, looking around the side. Doesn't appear to have any idea where his teammate are calling him out to, but maybe saw that movement through the trees as now he has the read, but no line of fire for the shots.
Yeah, Code Red in an almost impossible spot. And as I say that, it's going to be Ghost over the top with the barrel that takes down Traves. Gav and Terror is going to have a big task on hand here, trying to find their way into this bottom edge of zone without Torch peeking over the top. One of the Torch members is currently knocked, and it really is coming down to how intense of a factor these two teams of two want to play. They're very close to each other, but there's some decent ridges and trees in between them, and it looks like the two-man of TSS gonna keep ringing out shots onto the two teams of three. All of these shots are gonna in fact push Torch up the high side, and they're gonna try wrapping around the northeast edge of zone, perhaps deciding maybe their push is onto this Harry Potter wizard tower down below them. Again, TSS with some great shots onto these teams. It's gonna be Tony with another knock with the SLR onto Traves. Excuse me, that was a confirm. It's still Gavin Terrors on that side there, and these guys have picked up 7 kills as a two-man here, doing some impressive work. And again, they have the Groza in the back pocket for this end game.
It's gonna be a tricky one. Out comes the fire through the smoke, but it's so hard to be able to land those. You really have to spam it, but with 89 bullets in reserve, it's not quite that easy. Splits has been spotted, but nothing connecting on it. Now more will follow towards Gab, but he actually ends up catching the rock instead. 30 seconds till the zone really starts to cause a problem for these teams. As Code Red working their way in. Terrace has just made it dead center, as Ghost is actually going to use this to make a push.
I love this
onto
play.
VE down below.
I love this play. You know, they were kind of getting shot at by too many angles, and they really know that this must be a broken team down here. Ghost leading the way. He's got the Molly in hand and the Overwatch. Molly down low. He's watching up top. His team's got the Overwatch. The Molly's not going to catch any damage. Wise plays by Walshy, hopping up onto the pallets in there. Some good spray by Ghost is in fact going to push him off the pallets into the Molly. Takes him down. There's only one player left from VE up top. The third party from TSS and Code Red Gaming is going to play a factor here, but these guys need to finish this Wizard Tower fight as soon as they can if they want to prevent that third party from ruining their round. The three-man of Torch are going to do just that. It's going to be Ghost taking them both down himself. 7 kills for the man, 12 for the team. They're dealing absolute absolute damage out here. Splits with another knock onto Gav here, Chunks.
They don't realize, though, that Terrace is going to be behind. Never mind. Tiny's there to finish off the job, and that's the end of Code Red. There are now 2 teams remaining. Torch obviously having that player advantage, also a lot of kills go alongside it. It's got to be feeling good as the barrel spray able to come through, but it can't quite connect. It's not the first time we've seen a long-range spray whiff tonight. Let's hope that it can be corrected, though, by Ghost as he closes it up, sees the movement on the edge of the smoke, but isn't able to land the shots. It's exactly the opposite ends up happening instead. Tiny with the shots lands a nade in the end. Ghost is taken down low, and it's the nade to actually finish things off. There's 2 players left from each team now as Fizz starts to move up just a little bit more, looking out for Nettin, sees him out in the open, goes to the jingle peak. Nettin tries to turn around, takes a bit of damage in return, shots onto the head. Now it's a 2 versus 1, a split, and Fizz both need to group up. They need to push this as a unit. They also need to be cautious to get caught off guard as Tiny tries to come around the side. He takes the shots. That should be the info given away. And yes, it is. Torch get themselves a chicken dinner with an amazing 15 kill total.
That was a powerful play. We were talking about it as the round kind of commenced there. Torch was doing all they could from that high side, but the play of the game, I believe, was whoever made that call for Torch to wrap them down and around and get Ghost into that Harry Potter wizard tower. It was the play of the game, quickly eliminating VE from that location, and then a little bit of help from TSS to get rid of Code Red, and then they quickly had a 3-on-2, making it happen with the 2-on-1 versus the Groza there. Well done to peak together. As you said, 15 kills and the win. TSS with an impressive round there, holding strong as a 2-man with 8 kills and a 2nd place. Code Red picking up 1 kill and the 3rd place. VE 6 kills in the 4th place, and rounding out our top 5 in match 2 is going to be K7 with 6 kills. That is just match 2 of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have 4 more coming at you, and right now we are heading over to Miramar for our next 2 matches, and we will be right back in just a few moments. Welcome back, everybody, to the main gaming league High Roller 2 event. We are in day 2 of action here, and I'd like to just welcome those who are new and give you guys a little bit of a background of how this event is structured. We had both 6 matches yesterday and 6 matches today. Both day has its own scoreboard and prize pool. However, there is an additional large prize pool for the combined total of the 2 days. So we are in match 3 of day 2 here. We are dropping in with some of the best teams spread all across the world on PUBG console. And once again, I am just delighted to be in the booth here with my good friend Chunks as we drop into Miramar. My favorite part about this structure that we have, Chunks, is that it's 4 Orangles, 2 Miramars. The Miramars can really throw a big wrench into the plans here for some of these teams.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of teams that really tend to shine on one map and then struggle on the next. So it's about testing that balance, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, look, it's you have to show that, but you can't just be good on one map. You have to be consistent between maps. You have to know the lobby well, and you have to be adaptable, because at the end of the day, PUBG is not like many other shooters in terms of you're in an arena and you have to figure it out. This is a battle royale. There's so many different variables to take into account. The map shouldn't really make too much of a difference as long as you know the strong positions, you know the ridges, you know where to be looking out for in key spots. Then the map should make no difference to how you play. It all depends on how the lobby adapts and the different drop spots, different rotations. Because I think a key thing with Miramar that a lot of people don't take into account is how tricky the rotations actually tend to be, because it's not like a Wrangle. You can't just blast through every field on the map. There's so many hills, so many just annoying ridges all over the place that you were kind of forced into choke points on these roads. So I guess the only real form of adaptation required by these teams, in my opinion, would be figuring out where those values are, where those choke points are. Look at TSS, for instance. This is a perfect example. They have a perfect choke point set up here. If a lot of teams end up rotating down that highway, which if they weren't so central in the zone, they likely would, they probably would have been able to get themselves a few rotation kills. So if teams are able to identify those spots, make the most out of them, brilliant. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, fantastically put there. We've watched just some really high quality IGL gameplay. We were kind of pointing out some of the positions some of these teams are finding themselves in consistently here. And Miramar kind of just accentuates that. If you have an IGL who can find you all of those nooks and crannies on this map, because they exist, there are all sorts of ridges and places you can go prone out in the middle of these desert fields. And if you have an IGL who can get you into those spots, who can get you scouting your next move as quick as possible, it can play probably more of a factor on this map than Erangel. You know, most people are more familiar with that Erangel map, finding their way amongst all the hills and the grassy terrain. But this Miramar desert terrain is just a totally different animal in a high quality IGL. Can really make or break, you know, all of those extra points. We saw a couple teams yesterday in some really good choke points. We had some southern zones yesterday, and we saw, I think, the Dub Hub setting up in Monte Nuevo, and Skyline always in their Chumacero drop here. Just in really great spots to choke all the other teams rotating. We know how rough these Miramar rotations can be, so being set up in a good spot early might be worth sacrificing some of the, you know, the loot requirements that some people have here. So it's always good to make sure you have your IGL on point on this map, and it can truly, you know, add to your total in the long run here.
I think Torch right here are probably the squad that I maybe want to focus on the most this game. Obviously, an amazing chicken dinner, and now playing a little bit split between Minas and towards Graveyard. Now, it shows a lot of confidence, and it'll give them good loot coverage. The downside is, even though that these places are all very, very close to each other, they're kind of hard to rotate between. Sure, there's a road that you can take a vehicle with, but it's not as easy as, you know, playing a 2-2 split and being able to just backfill into one. So these teams do have to be a little bit cautious now, specifically Torch, because the target's on their back. It's their game to lose. And we often see it where a team will win a game, play overly confident, overly split, and get torn apart because of it. So I just hope that doesn't happen with Torch here, because Minas, Graveyard, and a circle like this, those are power positions, especially if you get on this hill just above the player we're spectating. You can look all the way down to TSS, Code Red. Everybody is going to be getting shot at from Torch if they play it correctly.
Yeah, 15 kills and the chicken dinner for this Torch squad last round. So they are likely going to be sitting on top of the day 2 leaderboard. And they're going to be in a great spot here, as you said. Pretty spread amongst this graveyard Minas spot. They're going to have teams potentially trying to look for, you know, crashes into this area. It's a very popular spot. It's very spread out. So sometimes teams think, hey, this is such a spread out little city, Minas, that we can just crash one edge and find our way through it and around it. So they're going to have to be careful of this K7 push here. It looks like K7 just trying to find their way around the east side of Minas, but we'll make sure we keep a close eye on Torch, our probably first place team at this point in time with that 15 kill chicken dinner last game on Erangel. But again, this is Miramar, and we're going to have to wait and see exactly how this round unfolds for these squads.
I mean, it's going to be a tricky one, isn't it? You can see just how consolidated everyone kind of already is. You have so many teams clustered in the center, and then the edge is almost completely open. All these teams are just going to have to edge their way in. And I think it's Skyline that you pointed out earlier down in Chumacera that are also going to be one of those teams that have a big effect on the game in terms of their rotation through, because BM are already posted up doing exactly what I said. They're on one of those perfect choke points where they can find rotation kills no problem.
It's getting pretty packed in the center zone here. Lots of teams, you know, not much stress on this rotation, but things are going to change pretty shortly here because lots of teams trying to get into center zone, trying to hope that first circle, excuse me, second phase is kind of centered up. As you can see, so many teams surrounding Hacienda and Minas, all tucking away into different compounds here. And I'm not sure they had any idea that one member of TSN was in this compound. He was forced to just run to these dumpsters here, Chunks.
I mean, it's the danger of playing so split, isn't it? It's the problem I pointed out with Torch. This is big, though, from Nemesis. He's actually waiting for those players to rotate past. This allows the rest of TSN to now start making their way through. Destroyer's going to be the final player, and surely that's going to be the end of him. Decides to not go for the run over, but Nemesis isn't able to land any shots either. Lands those, though, beautifully.
Wow.
Warhawk going to be going down. K7, the first team to lose a player, but it's traded out almost immediately by a third party in the form of Stento, who finds a second. Okay, Spencer, making up for what happened last game, showing, yeah, I can shoot. I maybe just whiffed a few shots last match.
Yeah, pretty insane. We saw a member of TSN miss the barrel spray and then quickly connect on a beautiful SLR spray. So both some impressive and not so impressive shots being traded out here, but Spencer, as you said, picking up a quick 2 kills onto TSN, showing what he can do with that mini long range. We saw him with the Scar almost get a squad wipe game 1, but a little bit I'm not gonna say lazy rotation there from K7, but you hate to see them lose one player. Some impressive trigger discipline from Nemesis to not let you know, the bullets go flying on the first thing he saw there. He's gonna be alive, but they did lose 2 members who felt a little bit too comfortable on the other side of the road on that ridge, and the third party from Wonder Circle you know, took them out really quickly there.
TSN now have to try and salvage what is in reality a very, very tricky situation. Destroyer finds himself a knock onto Teak, and well, that might just be the end of them. Nemesis is still alive, and sure, he managed to survive in this compound solo for a little bit, but that was before all this attention had been drawn down to him. Now, sure, he's probably going to be able to hold it. I'd be kind of surprised if anyone actually crashes into this, but at the same time, it's not an easy compound to rotate out of. Never mind when you have 2 teams who know exactly where you are and they know that you're the final player remaining.
Yeah, he is definitely going to be stuck here with pretty much no option other than to try to hope he can gain some sort of placement points for his squad. A little bit of a crazy start here. We are still a minute away from our first circle up, but most teams are pretty comfortable with their location. They're going to let that phase 2 determine their next plays. Trading shots long range is K7, V2, Winner Circle. TSS in this center intersection compound here, very comfortable. Got all 4 players up. It looks like Q in the vehicle across the road doing a little bit of scouting, perhaps seeing what he and his team can hold down. Lots of these teams feel very comfortable with that, you know, 2-2, 3-1 split as long as they have sight lines on each other's compound. We've seen a lot of people do that. It looks like Q is going to do just that and pull up over here in this mini Hacienda compound, trying to gain a little bit of a spread for his team to, you know, increase their chances of having a better end game zone. I always like this play, but again, as we discussed yesterday a little bit, it's just the risk reward factor of it. You got to make sure that you don't get crashed, or that you can survive a crash somehow if it does go down. He's going to find an 8x on the top floor there and be pretty happy to double his scope range there. Pretty nice surprise waiting for him on the top floor. But Q and TSS gonna hold this 3-1 split as we see this first circle pull heavy over to our winners from last round. Torch hanging out comfortably in this Minas spot, and lots of teams on the north side gonna have to rotate in.
This zone just got very, very interesting with it being like this and having so many power positions in play. Teams are now going to have to make their mind up. Look at Torch, for instance. They had free reign over Graveyard, that little bit in between, and Minas. Now they're going to have to consolidate. At most, they can rock a 2-2, but they know they're going to be in backfield. Honestly, if I'm playing this game, if you're not able to grab Bendita like the Dub Hub have, try and get on those Minas hills, because all of those northern teams are going to be coming in, and you can look down at every single one of them and take as many shots as you desire.
Yeah, we are going to see some action go down. It looks like shots being traded out from Code Red Gaming. Got the Graveyard a second before BM, and they got all 4 players shooting at the transporting cars of BM. No knocks coming out. I think we saw some damage come down onto Zensity and a few other members, but they're going to pull off just beyond the ridge there. More spray coming out here from Terrors. No kills picked up. We still have 16 teams alive here, just past the 11-minute mark. 60 players, only 4 have gone down so far. And there we go. We have seen the auto MK doing work today, Chunks. I'm not sure how often you see people using the MK on auto while you're casting PC. I'm curious about that.
Honestly, most of the time it is just a single shotgun, but there are those occasions, aren't there, where someone will be in a final circle, they've maybe run out of ammo, and they manage to get that MK out the crate, they throw the red dot on, and it's mayhem. But this is the thing I love about getting to kind of bounce between console and PC, is seeing the differences in play, seeing how, you know, 4x M4s aren't really a thing on PC. Usually it's like a 3x at most, and then you pop the 4x on the mini, but that's something we see a lot more often in console that I always find so impressive, because sure, those sprays are hard to hit, but when you do, they're just so satisfying.
Yeah, it is. I think I've seen a little bit more on console. You'll see people using those AR sprays and the 3-4x's, even up to 6x. You can zoom that 6x out on an AR, and controlling something like an M4. You know, it takes a little bit of practice, but it truly isn't that hard. It's way more difficult for those AR sprays with the mouse and keyboard. So it's pretty interesting, again, as you said, to see people use this MK very heavily on auto on console. You'll probably see Andy here, unless it's very long range like this. You know, you can't really do much with the auto spray, but anything mid to close range, you'll see a lot of these good shooters put that gun onto auto.
Now, as things start to get a bit clustered, all the edges are having a couple teams fighting each other. V2 at a tap, looking up the hill, but not able to land anything just yet. Sees the head. Can he connect? Not quite, but it's so close. Narrowly avoiding. As now he gets down prone. V2 realize that they have a fight ahead, but maybe they don't realize just how open that compound in front of them is.
Yeah, their focus was on K7 in this compound here, and then Rat turned a little bit towards WC up there. They do have Linkadox. It's going to be a pretty interesting zone here. Linkadox is hanging out on the side over here, trying to pick up some kills. I have no idea if he has a vehicle, but K7 scrambling out of that compound. I want to pick up with these guys. It looks like their vehicle is just absolutely smashed. Destroyer going to lead Aimbot and Prodigy into this compound. They're going to have a little bit of edge zone here. Oh my gosh, I thought that was an enemy player there. I just saw the edge of him jump in. Whew.
It's a scary one. I mean, look, after what we saw, was it last game where someone just hopped through a window and there was just a guy chilling in the corner that didn't notice? It's not the end of the world, but that circle, you see why I said take those Minas hills now, because Winner's Circle have just put themselves in one of the best positions in the lobby, especially if Luca Rooks has, you know, a decent range gun. If he had an MK, it's a different story, but, you know, he's got a 6x on it, should be able to make work. However, this is one of those things, and and talking about the differences between console and PC, maybe the way that I look at the game as more of a PC player and PC caster is very different to these teams, because, you know, in a PC lobby, everybody would be fighting for this hillside, but I think that the nature of preferring those close range to mid-range battles and going for sprays over DMRs, I think that could be a big factor that I maybe neglected talking about the positions previously.
That's a great point. It's something that we'll have to keep a focus on, and the difference from PC to console can be drastic at points, whether it's the gunplay or, you know, what positions you're able to hold because of the gun skill differences in the two different platforms. It's definitely gonna be interesting. I'm gonna be, you know, interested to watch a little bit more PC and kind of see the differences, because it's definitely gonna really play a factor into how, you know, you can talk about the movements and factors that these teams consider with their positions and stuff. Lots of teams, as we've touched in base here with Vault Esports, got 3 kills already. They're pushing a little bit close into Minas here. We know there's a couple teams already waiting for them. Torch been here all game, decided to slink back a little bit deeper into the compound. It looks like they've taken a knock. So Strong has pushed right in, gotten a knock. The thing about this compound is that these buildings are so strong to hold that, you know, if you get a knock and push on, you might be at the disadvantage if you're going to be too aggressive with some of those pushes. So knocks going out from different teams, but no pushes really happening. I think the most action might be on this edge compound. We see our first place team from yesterday, Kinetic 7 EU, trying to push onto Skyline here. It looks like they opened things up with a knock. QDex calling the boys over to the right side as they all flank this edge together.
Kizza going to be looking out for the nade. It appears close to Amerta, and it actually lands onto enemy instead. The headshot lands onto Amerta, though, and T-Ro's quickly there to call it out to his teammate. Kizza pushes up. Zalidy's still behind the rock, but now he's being spotted running away. Surely that's going to be the end of it. The headshot lands, but the bodies don't connect. Q is there to finish off the job, and now it's all down to Joey. But he's got that M249, all of that ammo in the bank. Probably won't have to reload to take out the entire squad if he can land the shots, and he certainly did onto Q as the first player falls. But it looks like now it's down to a 4 versus 1, and Joey backed up into a corner of 40 seconds before the zone moves.
Yeah, Joey's got the gun to take out a full squad, but this Team 9, Kinetic 7 EU, has done such a good job on multiple occasions on working their way through edge. They're able to frag into teams and push their way into zone just because of their frag ability as a squad. So it's impressive to see, you know, some of the top teams be able to push through someone holding edge like that. And it really just comes down to who has the gun skill and who doesn't. It looks like MG waiting on the top side. Insane's got the barrel, he's got the mini, peeking over. I'm not sure he has any idea that Tyro is underneath him here. He does get a quick knock, so impressive shots from Insane onto Sweeney here, but he's got 3 more players, different ranges, all focused on him now.
Sweeney down. Looks like he's not going to be getting back into it. Tero tries to land a shot onto Insane, but it isn't quite happening for him. Tries to land some longer range shots. Acid Burn getting ready to go for the repeat, though, for MG, but hasn't connected with anything just yet. Kizza wrapping up round to the right to try and get a bit of an off angle, but Acid Burn's already down the hill. Crazy has been spotted, so this could be the opportunity for Tyro to actually make a push and get involved, but it's going to be a tricky one as the shots come through, not quite landing. Now Tyro moves down a little bit further. Unknown Randy scrapping it out on the other side of things as we take 2 down from SS. But over on the edges, I mean, it's so tricky. Minas, the West, also clustered. Everybody is taking casualties.
VE looks like they got a revive onto Sharky. They've gotten a knock. This is crazy terrain that we're fighting in down here. You see DocX doing all he can to get Fingers, who is a couple ticks away from bleeding out here. The nades coming from that VE team. Oh my god, it's an absolute money shot from Walshy from downtown. There's only 1 member up. It's going to be Example scampering through these, I don't even know what you call these, oil rigs, but Example is go ahead, Chunks.
I just don't know how the hell Example can actually get out of this one right now. He's pinned between so many teams as a solo. He's just gonna have to rely on these smokes, honestly. Maybe try and lay prone, but never mind. He's just laying it down at shots. Walshy falls yet again, as it looks like he's going for the revive here, which is so brave considering these squads have been scrapping it out for a good few minutes now, so they should have a read that, okay, there's a solo and a knock. Let's go and make the most out of this. So ballsy move from SS. TSS, but it looks like it's worked out and they made it into the top 10 now.
Yeah, it was a great play. He gave a little bit of spray. I think he knocked or thirsted one of the members of VE. And then a well-timed third party from BAT really plays in their favor. He's going to be able to get back up to 2 strong. Doc X is back on his feet. And VE playing aggressive onto BAT here. Only as a 2-man. They're clearing house. Walshy with the M4. It's not going to be enough. However, his teammate Unknown is there for the trade out. 9 kills for these guys already. They're going to be down to 2 players, but some impressive points going on the board there for Vault Esports.
Into the top 8 now as the zone shifts away from Minas. You got to remember, all of these hills are classed as unplayable. So in theory, this should have shifted away last circle. But because of the amount of unplayable terrain, that just didn't end up happening. Lukaruk's still up here. This is what I was saying about this position. He's got 3 kills on the board, and he's now got the 4x barrel. This is ideal for this kind of range, because if a team is coming out of Minas like Torch, you can finish off on those players no problem when you have the high ground and they are wide open. It should be a free kill.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like he's a little scarce on ammo, but as you were discussing early on, Winner's Circle quietly picked up 5 kills just because of this amazing position. Sticking Luka Rux up top here has paid off for 3. And Spencer, we've seen what he can do long range, taking down a couple members of TSN early on with that mini. So these guys are going to be pretty comfortable with their 5 kills and their position. They're going to leave Luka Rux up here to try to frag out a little bit longer while the rest of the team hangs out with a nice 3-man spread center zone with the just about the only cover left in zone chunks. The only thing that Luka Rux needs to watch out for is this Kinetic 7 EU team. Team 9 still somehow with 4 deep, plowing their way through the edge of zone, mainly because of their ability to frag on the edge while pushing through teams. It's just been truly impressive. It looks like Luka Rux,
oh, he is
got
surely,
some
right?
mountain climbers on his hands. QDex knows the way up the mountain, and I think knows about Luka Rux.
Oh, yeah, here we go. The rest of Winner's Circle turn around. Lukaruk needs to just play this passive now. I say that, if you're able to get a knock like that, make the most out of it. Underhand grenade, something. Capitalize. The rest of the team are now going to start getting involved, but they can't leave him off on no man's land. He takes down Sweeney. That makes it a 2 versus 1, at least until his team get involved, but they are nowhere to be found. Sweeney, Q, both going to be eliminated. Their third party away. The points have been denied. The nade lands. Tyro goes down as Lukaruk's finally finished off, but don't forget, look, he's still got 3 teammates left. If Winner's Circle have a vehicle, it's not beyond all reason that one of those players can get out of there, get up that hill, and finish off the team down below, but it'd be a brave one, and honestly, I think Lukaruk has just resigned himself to die in here.
Absolutely insane. Plays by the 1-man up there, taking down 2 players. Then he gets the 3rd with the grenade. The brave revive off here. Heads up plays by Kizza, sneaking back into the mix to get this revive. He's gonna need to be careful though, because V2 Linkadox, the man who took down Luka Rux, has his entire team on the push here. Sparky with a timely nade takes down Tyro before he can get the heal off. Kizza has to tuck and run here. He's gonna run into Torch, however. There's gonna be nothing the man can do. He lands a couple shots, but splits, picks the man up. Insane survivability there from Team 9, but it's just too much. And the 1-man plays from Luka Rux really was the difference maker in their round there. Luka Rux gonna bleed out on top of the hill, but as you said, he's got 3 members for Winner's Circle in center zone. 6 kills for the squad already, and they'll take that trade of 4 kills, holding center zone with 3, losing 1 player all day, I think, Chunks.
It's been impressive. That's fair to say. For so many of the teams in this lobby, I think Winner's Circle is as strong as they are. And I think this is just because the high expectations I always have of this squad, because they always manage to find a way to do something that they shouldn't. But you know what? They have maybe disappointed, but this game has certainly made up for it. 6 kills on the board. If they're able to get 1 or 2 more, it's a really, really impressive game, especially after you take into account the things that Spencer has done tonight with all of those early game fights that they've taken, as he tries to look out now to find a little bit of an angle. This is so tricky. The window's so slim. The bars are in the way, and now TSS sneaking up behind. Winner's Circle, unfortunately, are looking pretty tough right now in terms of being surrounded, but look, if the circle goes down to them, they're dead center. Everyone else has to try and figure out a way in.
Yeah, again, I feel like we are just getting these kind of crazy terrain for end circles. The up and down of some of these mountainsides that we've been playing both on Erangel and Miramar are just insane. It looks like Rat has found his way on top of the mountain that we saw Lucarux playing for so long, and he's gonna have zone for another minute or two with phase 6, and I think he has a good idea about what is going on for Torch. And not only is this a good play to maybe pick up a kill or two, but the information that he is gathering to distribute to the rest of his team members down below is just so vital for this end circle. 4 teams up, and he can just really give his team a good idea, and he spots splits down below.
Rattata looking out to try and find Torch, but he hasn't just yet, and now he will. So much damage being found, but not enough to convert. V2 need to make something off of this now. They need to be taking team shots. They see the players down below. Rattata forced to back out of there, goes for the reload, and now comes the drop. He needs to do it before Phils is able to spot out, and it appears that he has been able to. Will take a little bit of falling damage, but he's full boosted. Nothing to worry about there. And now he has the high ground, and it should be relatively easy pickings as long as they get out from behind this tree.
He's got Quavoff over his shoulder, who opens things up with a nice knock onto one of the Torch members. The other ones are just gonna have to figure out exactly what their angle is, but I believe there might be one underneath. Never mind, Sparky is down low for the confirmation. A really impressive push here from V2, using all levers of terrain, but Mushu is there with the fastest time to kill gun in the game. The auto MK is an absolute force to be reckoned with. Takes down Sparky. Each player losing 1 here. Another knock goes out onto one of the Torch members. Splits is going to be there for that revive, but this terrain is just so hard to work through. They're doing an insane job on the mountain. The 3 remaining members for V2, they know that Mushu is down there with the MK. They know that the rest of Torch is spread further down the hill, and they know that there's 2 more teams also playing a third party factor, but it looks like TSS is slowly starting to push up onto Winner Circle, who has been confined to that compound since they were distributed to a 3-man for some time now. And it's really, as you said, tough to play out of there with TSS on the low side ridge and the mountainside still being held by V2. Not much they can do in that compound besides wait for a timely push out of there. And again, the high ground is just going to be too much for them to deal with. It's going to be very interesting to see how V2 gets off of this location as a 3-man with all eyes on them.
Up above, 4x in hand, but as Linkadox goes down, it will hamper their ability ever so slightly. The nade comes up and find a little bit of damage. Rattata gonna be eliminated as well. Torch even off of the low ground and making absolute work here, knowing that the zone is gradually gonna push V2 in. The problem is they have to deal with V2 before they can actually make it into the zone, because they need to focus all of their attention when they push onto TSS. Now, this could work out well for them, though, because TSS are distracted. Torch can reposition a little bit further down the hill, have themselves a decent ridge line and a bit of cover, and then be able to punish this squad if they manage to escape.
Yeah, and my eyes are on Mushu with the auto MK in his hand. He's spraying into the smoke, connects for nothing. Impressive knock there from Quavoff onto Splits. This Torch team has taken a ton of knocks, so they're going to have to be pretty quick with the revive here as Splits is ticking, I think, for the 2nd, maybe 3rd time. Linkadox and Quavoff holding smoke with all sorts of angles on them. So impressive resilience from V2, have worked their way off of the hill here, still too strong. All of our 4 remaining teams are broken down. At least 1 player eliminated from all of them as Quavoff and Linkadox trying to push down the hill. Splits is up on his feet. Ghost providing the shots over the top. Takes down both players with 1 3x barrel spray, Chunks.
Really, really impressive. The ability to take them both down with 1 clip is so good. And Torch are just, I mean, if you couldn't tell, they are putting me at a loss for words right now, because I just can't deal with how aggressive they've been and being able to chain these matches together. Don't remember, they actually won our last game with, I think, 15 kills. So to be able to do this a 2nd time will be very, very impressive. Mushu going to be doing what he can to go for a bit of a reposition, but right now, if Torch lay and wait, they can kind of hope Winner's Circle and TSS eliminate each other to a certain extent, then third party, and that opening nade should be the push that they were looking for. Cocky's been able to get 2. There is going to be able to be 1 left, but I think it's all over for TSS at this point as he peeks around the side. Never mind, Stento lands the headshot, but not for long. Torch need to be paying attention to this, and they need to be pushing as fast as possible. There's a damaged player, and then one down as well. Make it 2. Tinkle is eliminated. It is now a 3 versus 1, but we've seen what Spencer can do. Look at what happened last game. Never mind, he's going to deny it. Wants to deny the points, and there it is. 12 kills and a chicken dinner for Torch back to back. And surely that's got to be it. They've got to take it for tonight after this. No way a team comes close to that.
We're halfway through our evening, and Torch just put together their back-to-back chickens. They were your team to watch as we went into that match. You noticed that they had the crazy split center zone, and they play it to perfection, picking up the back-to-back chicken dinners. 15 kills, 12 kills this round. WC, again, impressive work there. We saw Luca Rux holding the hill, 9 kills in a second place. DSS, 5 kills in a third place. V2 starting to come alive a little bit. I expect so much from this team. 3 rounds left. I'm going to keep an eye on that squad as they pick up 6 kills and the 4th place. And our 5th place team is going to be Kinetic 7 EU with 6 kills. And just like that, again, ladies and gentlemen, halfway through our evening, we have one more match on, on Miramar, and then 2 more on Erangel. So we'll be right back here on this dusty desert in just a few moments with match 4. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the main gaming high roller event number 2. We are dropping in on our 4th match of the day. And looking at it, we've got a plane path starting from the islands, heading up to the northwest side near Pozo. Going to be a pretty fair plane path. Lots of teams going to be able to extend to their normal drops. But as we ease our way towards the end of this 2-day event, we got to start asking a couple questions, Chunks. And the 1-day question for today is, can anyone catch Torch in this 6-day event? And the second question we have to ask is, how close is Torch to having the overall lead over Kinetic 7 EU, who continues to play well, but not back-to-back chicken dinners with 12 and 15 kills well?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it, where if you're able to chain together one really, really, really good game and then one pretty good game, then you're going to be able to put yourself in good standing, especially the fact that, look, as you mentioned before, we do kind of have 2 separate prize pools. We have our daily one and an overall one. Now, if you're going for the overall one, maybe this isn't the best strategy, but if you want that daily, if you maybe feel like you underperformed yesterday, then this all or nothing playstyle that Torch are resorting to is amazing, and it's clearly working.
Yeah, as we know from yesterday, this team 9 over here finished the day, our first 6 matches, up 20 points on a handful of teams that were just outside of 20 points. But today, once we get the updated scoreboard to see what this Torch team has done today, back-to-back chickens, I think they're going to be, if not in the overall first place, they're going to be extremely close, because K7 EU, our team 9 down here, has continued to do really well, getting into end game, picking up kills. We focused a little bit on their ability to frag from the edge, you know, play an edge, have little to nothing to work with, and then pick up a knock and able to frag right through teams on the edge of zone. So K7 EU holding strong, continuing their consistency, but this dominance from the last 2 matches from this Torch squad has been truly impressive, and I think it's going to slide them into the overall first place.
I think, is this winner's circle on the screen right now? I'm not able to see it too well as
yes,
they
absolutely.
try to close in the distance just a tad. Obviously being a little bit split, they should be aware that there's a squad around this area. Skyline going to start working their way out of the building as Tickle and Spencer come over the top. Now look, Tickle was always the guy that I was kind of afraid of on winner's circle because he has such an ability to be able to get kills. But then when you take a look at what Spencer's been able to do tonight, it's equally impressive, and he is a scary sight.
Yeah, absolutely. And they seem to all have that individual ability, and we've seen them with no fear in these early fights. It looks like Cocky here has called over the rest of the squad. Tickle, Spencer, Lucarux, and the boys have joined up over here, and I believe Skyline is going to play a little bit safe here. Winner's Circle, you just love to see the absolutely fearlessness in them to take a fight early on. They want to make ripples in the water, waves would be a little bit more appropriate with what these guys are trying to do early game. We see them fighting early game on Erangel, on Miramar, it doesn't matter. And we saw them last game finally 4 up pretty late into the game. They lost Lucarux on top of that mountain, who picked up 4 kills as a solo as he exhausted every bit of ammo and nades he had on a pushing 4-man that was climbing his mountain. So we've seen the individual skills, we've seen them now put it together in a little bit more coordinated fashion. And again, it looks like Tickle usually is the shot caller here, leading the way, scouting it out for the boys. And they're in a decent spot on the north side of zone as we check out this first circle, heavily circled onto Los Leones. Tons of teams on that northwest side near San Martin are going to have a pretty crowded rotation. And as we talked about before, this is going to be an opportunity for perhaps Torch or BM here in Picado to set up some sort of a choke point. And on this map, we know how rude and tough the rotations can be for these squads. So I'm going to be very focused on a couple of these teams that might be able to pick up some serious kills on these rotations.
So holding onto this compound, I think they probably have a vehicle over here. I'm pretty sure there's a hard spawn around this area. Over at the what we like to call the Death Valley area, though, you can see just how messy it's starting to get. K7 going to be able to get their way out of there just about, but oh, this is so tricky as the shots come in from behind. Any of those tires are just one bullet away from popping, but instead they go for the body, and that will actually be to their detriment as Aimbot is able to narrowly make it in. One more headshot probably would have done it.
This split by K7 is kind of insane. Two of them holding down this heaven compound, Destroyer over at the longhouse compound, and we just saw the final player Warhawk take this other compound here. Absolute dominance of the center zone, but at what cost if they get crashed? I'm gonna be very focused on Destroyer and the K7 boys. He gets a nice headshot on the splits there out of the car.
Really nicely done from Destroyer to take down one as he looks to try and find a second, but it's hard enough to take down one. As far as, sorry, Fizz is able to get away from that one. Should be able to escape safely. Not ideal though for Torch. Obviously back-to-back strong performances. Now having lost a player early, it will hamper their ability to really put up the same numbers, but with a squad that's as confident as this, if they actually move as a unit rather than going for splits and they play aggressively, I see no way that they shouldn't be able to still get a good number of points on the board. I think that it is just a case of going less split and more consolidated.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing you can really do with some great headshots coming out. There you go. Winner's circle starting to pop off. It looks like at the cost of MG losing a couple players out of the car. There's going to be Sizzle and Acid Burn Crazy trying to escape in the convertible. Luca Rux just continuing this impressive play, rips two people out of the moving car, and that's going to be, it looks like one of those got stolen. However, Skyline with a heads up play to pick up a point. Luca Rux confirming one of his kills.
Nicely done. As we hit that 7-minute mark close enough, this is where fights tend to kick off, but also fizzle out a lot of the time. As you can see, Zalady was able to take down Crazy, so still good on that front. But it's one of those where you see a lot of names in the kill feed, but not really too many team-on-team fights. You see TSN rotating their way around, as Lukaruk's able to land a nasty mini shot onto the head. Actually, Lob Riot jumps out. I think Lukarux is aware of this from the kill feed, so it looks like Winner's Circle going to start pushing immediately. Tickle's still on the other side of the road. He's applying pressure to them. Nemesis actually going to flush out his own teammate, knowing that, hey, we're probably going to lose this fight. Let's at least deny the point. But it's not that easy when Lukarux is able to land a nade like that onto Team Sweeney. Does manage to take one down on the other side of things, but Lukarix goes for the spray, and Nemesis has backed away. 2 free points for Winner's Circle, making it 3 on the board. As team number 9, what the hell just happened?
I missed it because we were so
It's gotta be a
focused.
crash, right?
It must have been a crash. Team number 9 over here. I'm going to try to get a little bit of information on what just happened, but a nice clean wipe on an enemy squad there. It looks like maybe pulled up on the high side. This
yeah,
is
it's
not
that
the
vehicle. You know what I think it might be? If you look at the top of the hill, there is a vehicle smoking. I think they've maybe rotated down to the south, pulled in, and then just got absolutely torn apart.
Oh,
This is what I
exactly
was saying
here.
about earlier when I said about those choke points on Miramar. This is one of them. If you can just get yourselves in a half-decent position, you're going to punish anyone who needs to rotate, and Team 9 just executed that flawlessly.
Yeah, some big happenings in the beginning of this round. Our 2 first place teams getting into a lot of it. We saw Torch, our first place team from today, lose a member in rotation. And now our first place team from yesterday, Kinetic 7 EU, picking up 4 quick kills. So the action at the top of the leaderboard, heavily contested, and these guys continue to show out. And again, as you said, these choke points are so important to hold and to look out for on Miramar while you make your rotations, because it can be the end of your entire team just like that. Unfortunately for Blood Money, at the hands of this Kinetic 7 EU team, not going to have another round on Miramar for the rest of this tourney here.
Unfortunate there, but I mean, look, you can go back, you can reset, you can play your Orangle, because I think everyone probably plays a little bit more. I don't know what the best word for it is, but I think people play at the form they are on Orangle a lot more. It feels like Miramar is definitely one of those maps where if you're good, it will accentuate that and give you those high kill wins. Look at what Torch have been able to do in that last match with the number of kills, they were able to pick up. Really, really impressive. And, you know, for teams that do struggle, that do maybe neglect to think about things like choke points like we saw at Los Leones, then it does end up really, really punishing. So it's about finding that balance, knowing where you shine and also where you lack, not to necessarily fix those things right away, but to make those small gameplay changes that then proceed to snowball into patterns and and kind of muscle memory as opposed to actively paying attention to, hey, we probably shouldn't take this road because there could be a squad posted up there.
Chunks, what do you think about this split from K7? We saw these guys getting into all sorts of action, but it's becoming now phase
Don't
2,
like it.
1 second, 1 minute left, excuse me, and you know, I like the 2-2 split. I like the advantage this gives you, but right now, to me, it feels like they're spread a little bit too thin, and I'm worried they're going to pay for it. I'm wondering if Destroyer is going to go link up with Warhawk, or they're going to link up as a 4-man somewhere. But right now, there's going to be so many teams trying to find their next position that I'm so worried about those guys in such good position. It looks like they're considering hopping in a car, maybe leaving this Heaven compound together. But I really, you know, how often do you see the splits on PC like that late game?
This shouldn't happen. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. It's still not late game, so I'll forgive them a little bit, but you shouldn't be rocking a split like this in arguably the 3 most powerful positions, because this is where the end game usually happens. To be playing 1-1 in this is not the way you want to be. You want to have maybe 1 player over in Destroyer's compound, 1 player over in the main compound, in the center of that field, because honestly, that is the strongest position inside this circle. At least in my opinion, I can't think of anything that really matches it just because of the coverage. Sure, you could say a team like BHE or Code Red have it, but they don't have hard cover. Insane able to take down Mushu, though, with the vehicle run over and Torch. That's the 2nd player lost.
That's our first place team losing a 2nd player. He got absolutely sent into the fence there. Unfortunately, we missed that, but Fizz for our first place team still trying to get shots onto that final member of MG, picking up a kind of a crazy kill in rotation there. Torch not going to be happy losing 2 in the manner that they did, but just a crazy rotation kill there by Insane for MG. And as we look at the map, several teams are comfortable in zone, but it's starting to heat up in the center as we have Code Red Gaming with a decent 2-2 split. It looks like So Strong have all confined into 1 compound. BHE kind of with a little bit dominant, all 4 players on this mountainside here. And lots of teams just sneaking into the edge like V2, TSS, now about to crash onto the solo for MG, representing as tall as he can there. But he's got to look out. He might get pulled up on by the rest of the squad, deciding to take the high road. He's going to be okay there. And BHE on that mountain do get a knock onto Code Red down below. Gonna have a quick look at this and see if they can get the thirst. What were you about to say there, Chunks?
I was just gonna say that was brave from that Eastern player to take shots as a solo. A lot of teams, I mean, if you look at a squad like Torch, would have absolutely done a 180 and taken those fights because they could identify it was only a solo shooting. BHE gonna be looking out for some shots their own, obviously having taken down 1 from Code Red already. They want to try and punish, but it's not feasible in their position to be able to convert anything into a kill, really. Sure, if you catch a player straggling out on their own in the open, it's a different story, but at least where they are now, not great. Now, K7, this is it. This is all or nothing. Consolidate right now. I don't care if that main compound shifts out of the zone. At least you're there as a 4-man. If Warhawk stays where he is, it is just ringing a dinner bell for any team around. And good on them because they are moving back. Don't get me wrong. I would have preferred it if it was a little earlier, but they just had me sweating a little. I think it was all under control.
Yeah, I like the split. I like the confidence, but more than anything right now, with phase 3 about to close up, I like getting together as a 4-man, preventing any sort of a crash. And this is a powerful spot. You're center zone as a 4-man. So take that, keep all 4 members up. We need this Kinetic 7 NA team to start showing us what they can do. They are one of the top teams on console, but they have been totally underperforming in this high roller event. So they're going to do the smart thing and do just that, consolidate as a 4-man there. And we are seeing V2 start to heat up and push up this mountain onto BHE. That I think that's Onyx confirmed by this V2 squad. Quavoff leaving the way. As we said, just 1 kill so far, but they're going to be able to push in on the edge, and they know they're dealing with just a crippled BHE team on this edge now.
V2 going to start working their way up a little bit further, make the most out of the high ground, which I can't blame them for, as well as them being able to punish down onto BHE. Quavoff has been able to get on top, but little does he know there's actually nothing up here. As we hit about the halfway point in the match, only 1 team has fallen. 14 players, it means a lot of squads are going to at least be down a man.
Yeah, 15 minutes in to have 15 teams up and 50 players. We're bound for something to happen, but if you take a quick look at this map, teams are pretty comfortable with this zone. We have TSS trying to sneak in as a foreman onto the south side. VE, a couple of knocks going down there. I believe that might have been the final member of TSN. We saw an interesting play that I haven't seen in quite some time. The thirst on his own teammate as they knew they were going to get aggressed on by that winner circle team. That was quite something to see early on. But back to this K7 squad, they picked up 2 kills. They were holding a pretty insane split for a while here, but have consolidated into this Heaven compound, one of the more powerful spots, not only position wise, but to pick up some kills. In the kill feed, we're going to switch right over to that. Boatman and Havoc combining for the kill for DubHub, taking out one of the members of Vault Esports, who we saw working their way through blue on this side of zone, unfortunately crashing right into DubHub, who we've seen in a number of good positions throughout this tournament, but haven't really been rewarded for the positions that they've been in.
No, and it's really unfortunate, isn't it? Because you touched on it, the fact that they did so well in power positions yesterday. They haven't really been able to make the most out of it. But look, the problem becomes that sometimes you put yourselves in such powerful positions that everyone has already counter-striked you before you've even made that decision. So, for instance, everybody in this zone is focused on K7 and avoiding them. Whether you're taking a fight or not, you know there will be a team in the center. And I think that that's something that DubHub have maybe fallen victim to a certain extent. They're taking amazing positions, but nobody's wanting to fight them from them.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to have a tough rotation here as the next zone shifts hard to the north side. K7 going to be very happy with the compound they chose to get all 4 of their team members to. And I look at this map, I see WC taking a nice 2-2 split for now, keeping 2 players on the edge, and they have absolute command of the zone. Honestly, with that ridge along the roadside, it's an absolutely powerful position to be in. And there's just so many teams outside of zone here, Chunks, that we're gonna deal with an absolute mess of a rotation on this south side.
BE already starting to fall victim to it now as well. She does go down. He will be getting flushed. No chance of a revive. Sharky is going to be the solo inside of that shack, but unfortunately that vehicle appears to have all its tires popped, so it will be a hell of a journey to get it out of there. But as Avida start to switch their attention up to the north, that could have been his opportunity to make a move. Code Red could absolutely cause some problems for Team 9 right now, especially when combined with Team 10 up ahead of them, even with the limited number of players at their disposal.
Yeah, there are a lot of eyes on this Team 9 right now who are sending Q-Decks up as kind of usual now, scouting out ahead, using the vehicle to get into a little bit of better position here, but he's got teams on all sides on the southern zone. I just love to get a better look at the map right now. We don't have any face-to-face fights going on, but so many teams ringing out shots across the map at one another. You see the only team that's truly comfortable with their position is going to be K7 there. As you see the kill feed start to light up, it's going to be V2 Quavov taking down BHE OG, who had a nade in his hand, instantly confirmed. Kizik gets a knock onto another Code Red member that's confirmed by his teammate Sweeney. Team 9 continuing to stack the points. They already have 5 kills as a squad here, and we've seen them do this a number of times. Work their way in on the edge with nothing but a 4-man and the will to fight in, and they always have some success. I'm very interested to see how they work their way through the DubHub here on the edge, because they need that low right side ridge. I think that's what they're going to try to play for here and push right into the DubHub, correct, Chunks? They only have that play.
I mean, you've got no other options unless you want to run through an open valley, and even then the DubHub are going to be able to look down on it. Honestly, Q should probably get down into this dip as quick as possible. That's a bit of hesitation there, and he's punished. This is what we were talking about, though, with the DubHub. They put themselves in really strong positions, and when they get the opportunity to use them, they work out really well. Look at this teamwork. The amount of util that these squads have that they didn't have to use taking those early games fights is amazing. Sweeney's now the only player left up. The Molotov is close, likely to spread. Should be able to get out of here, or maybe he left it a bit too late.
Yeah, that was a well-placed Molotov by Boatman, and the DubHub doing a great job holding that edge. I thought they were going to deal with a little bit more resistance. We've seen some impressive plays from that Kinetic 7 squad, but holding strong, led by the Boatman with 5 kills, 7 as a team here. The DubHub gonna have a very small amount of time to figure out their next play. It's going to be quite interesting here, Chunks. 20 minutes have gone by. We still have 35 players, 11 teams, all sorts of shots and angles from this TSS squad who have found their way into a nice little ridge here. They're going to be able to play it into this next circle, but there are just going to be so much carnage on this south side as everyone has to push across this road. None of this road is now in zone. VE playing somewhat of a spoiler for Code Red, but Gav is there for the trade, so he's going to be able to try to work his way out of the blue across the road, but teams crashing other teams. Dubhub with an amazing crash as a 4-man onto the rest of this so strong squad. 8 kills, and now they're in a good spot here, Chunks. Very impressive rotation from the Dubhub.
The problem is, as I mentioned before, K7, if they're able to move out that compound come the late game, get a bit of a better angle, then Dubhub are going to be a real problem. And also, it still applies if the zone even centers up over there, moves up to the north. It has pulled down to the southeast pretty hard, so teams haven't got too much of a problem to deal with. But as Ghost takes down Lukarooks, this could be the opening for Torch to finally get involved, following up with 2 other players as well. Beautifully done. The Skyline taking some serious casualties up on the northern side.
It looks like K7 starting to stack the kills because of this most valuable position they have here. 8 total for the squad. I believe they just picked up a couple on the V2, and they've got their sights on the Dubhub here, who I believe picking up more knocks at the hand of Boatman. I want to get into that man's perspective. He's leading the game right now with 6 kills, and he's got the MK in his hand. Damage all over his armor, but he doesn't care. They're in a decent spot here. They have somewhat of they've got tons of util. This man has 7 smokes at hand. Their focus really right now is going to be this TSS squad who has to find their way into that edge of zone over there.
Oh, just waiting. You know he's just waiting for one of those players to hop in the vehicle. He's going to get himself a relatively free kill out of it if he can time it right. They all look in his direction. I think he realizes he has to switch his attention first. Just trying everything he can to keep those TSS heads down, but nothing coming of it. Still looking over towards the players by the vehicle. I don't think they even realize just how perfectly lined up everything is right now.
Yeah, just some heads up rotations I want to point out from Dubhub. They're in a very rough spot across the street. TSS also doing a very good job to survive, especially since a 4-man winner circle is still hanging out here with shots at their back. I think a lot of their focus might be on this Torch squad, who ended up knocking one of them. They do have a vehicle here. It's going to start to heat up on this edge of zone as TSS forced out of this edge now is going to be the final 2 players. I'm not sure how good that vehicle is, but Netin and Insanos are going to need to link up with their other 2 members in that hay bale shack down below. And it's just going to turn into a mess here as Winter Circle tries to join the fight. Let's join in on this caravan that they got. 2 people in each car, Chunks.
Tickle gonna be leaning out the side. Sure, he's raring to take some shots. Torch are gonna be up ahead as Ghost is pinned. Fizz, oh, nicely done to find the damage. This could work out perfectly. Ghost needs to go for the peak right now because Tickle is so low, but unfortunately, as is the theme tonight, hesitation nearly denies it from him. He does manage to come up over the top, take down Tickle in the end. That's Winner's Circle losing a very, very powerful tool out of their arsenal. Lukarooks tries to return the fire and finds the head, but is met with damage in return as well. 3 kills on the board. We'd arguably expect more from Winner's Circle, but with sprays like that, unfortunately, it isn't going to happen. Now just waiting for the zone to close in. Force Fizz out into the open. Lukarooks waits, goes for the spray, but the smoke is just too thick.
It's going to be Spencer who does get the knock there with the Scar spray. Torch doing all they can to sneak their way into top 6 places there. I believe they came in 6, picking up as many kills as they could as a 2-man. Was our first place team. Now they're out. Winner's Circle trying to deal with TSS now. 1 player from TSS has extended down below. The rest of the squad has pushed up into K7. We have an absolute mess. I did not realize how crowded this complex was. I'm going to try to get an aerial view to figure out exactly what's going on. It's going to be Tony opening things up with a knock thirst onto Prod. V2 have 2 members in Quavoff and Sparky on the scene, and the 4-man of Dubhub joining the scene. We have 4 teams pushing this Heaven compound, and it looks like Winner's Circle have cleaned things up on the edge of zone. However, Insanos from TSS already looking Winner's Circle way, laying down some damage with that just a truly insane end zone here. It's all happening on this Heaven compound. We have 4 teams here, Chunks.
Warhawk able to take down Boat. This has denied Dubhub a big opportunity. 8 kills so far, by the way. We mentioned this is a squad that can be dangerous, and unfortunately, have maybe let us down in day 1. But this game, they are stepping it up to another level. As Phase 7 gets ready to pop, they need to get the res quick, because you've got to think that this zone is not going to center up again. As it does finally make that move, it in fact will go slightly to the east. So Dubhub are likely going to be one of the first teams that actually have to make a move out of here, so they need to start getting aggressive relatively quick.
A valuable revive though on Boatman. Again, no armor at all left on this man, but he does have 6 kills. His buddy Zert is going to pay for the revive then. In K7, aimbot has switched over to a micro Uzi, takes down Havoc. Boatman can't connect with the MK spray, but he does connect with the M4 spray. However, aimbot with too much hip fire going down, and the nades starting to ring out from both TSS and V2. Sparky and Tony with some timely ones. We're down to 4 teams, 1 remaining member up from K7. Destroyer holding down that God building. Sparky and Quavoff, the 2-man for V2, playing a big factor in here with their util, and we still somehow have a 4-man up, all confined to 1 building in TSS. Very impressive work by them, and we have 3 players for Winner Circle still hanging out on the edge here. It's going to be very interesting to see if this squad, they don't have to move yet, but what their next play is could play a huge factor. They need to get up onto the ridge of the compound, Chunks, and be in that position so that when everyone has to leave that compound, they are there for both long range and angles. It would be my play.
As a Winner Circle now, I'm just so confused at what they can do here, because sure, it looks like they're in a game-winning position, but the fact is, if TSS manage to clean up this compound, they then have the high ground. They have a load of cover they can hop between. They probably have a decent number of smokes to go with it as well, off of all the bodies they've looted. Winner's Circle are actually, even though they're in a favorable position, potentially going to be the ones at a disadvantage when this fight does happen, which is why you see them a little bit antsy. It appears like they do want to try and make a push when the fight kicks off, but TSS have done such a good job of not only preventing the push from in front, but also taking shots behind and not allowing Winner's Circle to make a move. And a thing that makes it even harder for Winner's Circle is the fact that if they throw down a smoke, if they even have any, they're denying their limited sight lines just for safety, which would then allow TSS to make a push onto them. So it's just so risky for them right here.
Yeah, in the 4-team dynamic with a team of 2 and a solo, both in the compound, it can truly play spoiler for what might be our favorite team here. I think it's got to be either TSS or Winner Circle just because of the pure numbers they have. But TSS all confined to 1 building, and it looks like this compound is still going to be good for now. Winner Circle going to have to find their way through the farm field. They have some tractors and some hay bales to play, but they're going to need to be swift about it, as much of the focus from TSS is going to be in their direction. The solo for K7 and the 2 players of V2 going to do all they can to kind of lay low and manage their way through this compound, but they don't have that much time. As you look at the map here, both members of V2 are out. Destroyer holding a very slight edge there, so it's going to be up to V2 to find their way into the edge here. Not many other teams besides WC on the edge are going to have to make that much of a move at this point in time.
10 seconds remaining till Phase 8 starts to make a move, and as I mentioned earlier, for anyone who's just joining, this is the final zone of the game. For anyone who's maybe new to competitive or to PUBG in general, it comes down to a dot after this zone has closed in, so these teams are just going to be infinitely crushed together in just a matter of seconds, as K7, V2 just playing chicken out on the edge. I mean, V2 could hold this position. They don't have to move. The question then becomes, though, what next? Like, can you try and just hop forward with a load of smokes? Granted, they got 6 of them, but surely that'll just draw more attention than anything. I like what Q was trying to do there, trying to get his way inside, but opts out to the back instead. For now, realizes, okay, can play this back wall. We got some cover. When this zone does close in, that's when we hop in and we make our opening. So it's about just being patient now and making sure that Destroyer isn't able to sneak up.
Yeah, and Winner Circle in the meantime able to kind of sneak into zone here. They're pretty tightly packed, so their angles are going to be narrow on the compound, but they have managed a decent spot, and it's gonna be a mess as these teams are forced out and through this compound. Winner Circle are going to have a field day opening fire on this. They just need to be careful. We talked about the ability to take damage and not take a knock. That's going to be crucial for this Winner Circle team here. They need to keep 3 up and have all angles here. The solo is going to go down. K7 out in 4th place. Sparky picking up another kill for version 2, but things are going to be a little simpler here. It's just a 2-man now, 4v2, and it's really going to be all about how fast TSS can clean them up and focus on the Winner Circle.
Asian's trying to move his way. Sorry, Sanos trying to move his way in as Quirk's going to be the one to open up the initial shots. Q has been tagged down a little bit as the AWM not really going to be too effective. But hey, if you manage to hit that shot, then they're all but dead. Nades coming out. They know exactly where they're going to be, and Winner's Circle is starting to get involved as well. I wonder where Winner's Circle are actually going to opt to throw their nades. It looks like they're going for a bit of a combined strategy. Some towards TSS, some towards V2. Lukarux now needs to throw down a smoke, make a move, honestly. I don't like him being this close to the edge. Somebody should be a lot more central, and then you should have someone just swing it off round wide just as a distraction. Winner's Circle, now they absolutely need to start making a push. Insanos has been able to take down Starkey. They are going to be pinned down over at the wall. The zone is closing in, but they still have smokes on their side. They've got a hell of a lot of ammo and a lot of util to work with. Fresh 3 gear being picked up off the crate that will be hugely supported as now Spencer lands a spray with a little bit of damage through the smoke as the crate gun being picked up. Seemingly not, but it's a 1-for-1 trade as Corky going to be able to take down Insanos after Lukaruk's fall. Spencer still spinning round the side. Tiny has been spotted, but he spots Lukaruk's first. That's the end of Winner Circle. Unfortunately, it's a 2nd place for them. 9 kills and a chicken dinner for TSS, though.
Impressive work from TSS. I thought that the solo and the team of 2 in that compound with them was just going to be too much of a distraction for them to appropriately then turn and deal with the 3-man of Winner Circle, but proven me wrong is 20 Squad South picking up the big chicken dinner with 9 kills. That's going to be great for them, moving them up the leaderboards. We'll have to wait and get this 4th match added to the total, but Winner Circle, a pretty impressive round for them as well. 6 kills and the 2nd place, 7 kills in the 3rd place for V2. K7 farming kills in that center compound, 12 kills and the 4th place. Going to be unfortunate for them that they weren't able to hold that compound that they had, but I think it was just too many teams at once pushing them. Boatman leading the way for the Dub Hub, 8 kills as a squad for the Dub Hub in a 5th place. Just like that, we are done with Miramar for the evening. We are heading back to Erangel for 2 more matches, and the leaderboards are absolutely heating up, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back on Erangel in just a few moments. Welcome back, everyone. We are getting directly into the Game 5 action here. We will get the scoreboards updated as soon as Match 4 is available to us. But for now, we're looking at a Zarky down to the left side of Sosnovka Island plane path. I always love a plane path like this, Chunks, because it is going to limit most of these teams to sticking on the left side of this map here.
Certainly it will. It's going to be interesting to see how these teams actually adapt to this. Obviously, that eastern side being cut out so heavily is going to make it very tricky for, I think yesterday we saw 2 teams actually drop Yaz. We haven't seen that so much today, but I think that's been based on the playing path more than anything. You can already see around by Roz, TSS, and TSN both having players going towards there. Now, TSN may just be picking up a vehicle, moving it back over towards ruins to start looting from there. But as I mentioned, this plane path cutting so much out, hot drops are just gonna happen. There's no way to avoid them.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this shakes out. It looks like there's going to be some competition for some vehicles here between the Dub Hub and V2. We're going to see several people caught out in the open here, I believe. I'm very interested to see how this shakes out. It looks like several members of V2 getting into one car. Havoc found his own vehicle as well, so maybe not as much of a skirmish as we thought we might see. Dub Hub going to elect to head over, I believe, towards the ferry, but elsewhere we're seeing some shots pop off. Looks like we have a hot drop over here on this small compound. I didn't even recognize it, Chunks.
It's so messy. Zimbo and Zency both going to be going down as Randy and Fingers sweep their way through. They've cleaned up the compound as Jaeger starts to move away. Honestly, BM, it's just fallen apart for them. This game is pretty much a write-off at this point. There's losing players this early, losing that many players this early. It's not really salvageable, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what made these teams stick to their guns in hot drop on that compound. I'm not sure if all 4 members for both teams are there. It looks like just 2 for SS. The other 2 for SS are over here just south of Gatka. But Jaeger able to get away. I didn't see where the final member went, but looks like only 3 members here. Jaeger is going to be the only one member left for BM, and a really unfortunate start here. Shift our focus to the north side of zone, though. A crazy split drop by our first place team right now, Torch. And they're gonna again want to consolidate probably sooner than later, as such a northern zone is going to force so many of these teams to kind of run through transport and rotate as early as they can. And they're holding down some pretty popular crash spots right now, so they have to be careful in this early stages that they might get crashed as a 4-man. Code Red Gaming also going to be pretty happy with their split for now, but those 2 teams stand out to me as in really good position, but vulnerable to a 4-man crash if the right team gets on the offensive and rotates quick enough here.
And let's not forget as well, you know, that Millie Island now being cut out, having 2 teams landing on it. It's really going to vary heavily on how K7 rotate, on just how messy this gets. If MG have noticed that a team have dropped down at Millie Island, specifically 2, they could very easily set up a bridge camp. That's probably why Sizzle's there, not only for loot, but also to kind of get a preempt onto any teams coming across, so he can get that audio cue and the team can start to reposition. Now, if Winner's Circle or K7 decide to take this bridge and a bridge camp has been set up, sure, it would be bad, but it'd be a whole lot worse than typical, just because you have 3 teams there. Now, as MG start to move away, they're going to focus on their rotation. That's 1 team out of the equation, but still that bridge is a choke point, and K7 have to be aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look like MG going to prioritize that crazy northern zone. We did see a kill get picked up on the kill feed here. I believe TSN picked up 1 kill from Vault Esports here. But as you said, gonna make sure we keep an eye on what's happening below the military island there with K7 and WC. But for now, it looks like lots of teams still have a good bit of rotation to do here. I'd like to focus on a couple of our teams that are towards the top of the leaderboard. As always, looks like Kizza leading our first place team from yesterday, who seem to be battling it out with Torch for that first place overall leaderboard spot. But there's a lot of PUBG left in this 2 Erangels we have here, and a lot to be decided in these final 2 matches. So teams are going to be playing now smarter than ever, and I'm very anxious to see what this Kinetic 7 team does for EU. Kizzo's got a bike and he's leading the way, trying to figure out exactly what is going to be their first play.
It's going to be a tricky one. It looks like he wants top for the Dacia instead. Probably a smart move, honestly, just to be able to have that extra bit of cover if required. Goes for a bit of a seat swap onto Zert, but it doesn't work out. Now, he's pulled up on top of the hill, so it could be a bit of a risky one, hence why he's weaving all over the place. A couple bullets do land, but no real damage to the car either, so he should be able to get away. Those wheels still perfectly healthy, so there's a level of safety, but still, going for a seat swap like that in a pretty risky position where a player can pull up on top of you, there's a high likelihood of getting punished, and hopefully that close shave will now allow them to learn off of that and avoid that mistake going forward, and hopefully result in a better game for them.
Yeah, true, but shifting our focus to Torch here, one of our top teams again has just picked up an AUG, and it's in the hands of our top fragger. I have the scoreboard up right now, and Ghost has put down the most damage and kills of the day so far, so this is going to be big trouble for the rest of the lobby. Ghost has one of my personal favorite guns to use, the ability on console to put just about any scope from a red dot all the way to a 6x on the AUG and make it sing. It is truly a fun gun to use, and it's not something that everyone else in this lobby is going to want to see in the hands of our kill leader right now.
No, it's such a dangerous thing to come up against as TRCH goes down, loses 1. Torch are going to be in a little bit of trouble over on this side if Skyline decide to make a move, but that tends to be a theme a lot in these edge positions that I've seen tonight, where those teams that maybe don't have too much info on what exactly is going on in the center of the circle kind of settle for what they think is safest, and it turns out there are 4 other teams that thought exactly the same thing, so they end up scrapping out on the edge. Now, Skyline, look, they got the jump on this fight, they did the damage, they know that Torch aren't going to be too likely to push, so instead they're going to be backing up to support their teammates a little bit further behind who have actually received damage instead.
Yeah, and Joey's got to be careful with this push. He's getting some really good damage onto Vault Esports, who have already lost a member. It's going to take just one more bullet. He's going to try with the spray. Does not connect. He knows that the Torch enemy is just over the ridge, and he's got to be careful. We saw the AUG in the hand of Ghost, but it's actually going to be TSN Lob Riot that takes down another member for Vault Esports, and they're going to be in a terrible way now with just 2 members up. It looks like they're going to be able to get that revive off, so a bold play by Zachary coming out here. Unknown has already pushed all the way up onto Skyline here. Chunks, look at this.
Unknown closing it up. Out comes the spray, and the headshot connects, but unfortunately Joey's there to trade it. Now Unknown is dead. There's no way of getting out of this one. You're completely surrounded. You're on top of a hill. Torch are going to be the ones to steal that away, though. Zachary starts to back off to try and support what's left of his team and just try and get over to that vehicle to make an escape. But while she is so far away, Lob Riot third party in behind, VE are just trapped here between a rock and 3 hard places.
Yeah, you really hate to see a first round breakdown like this for a team like VE, who was so impressive yesterday, and wasting no time at all is Joey over the top. He's already got one of the VE members. The third party starting to ring out. TSN and Torch both knocking one of the members of Skyline, so it's giving Walshy a little bit of breathing room here. He's gonna need to retreat into the smoke and the rock and crank a first aid and then see what he can do versus the rest of Skyline above.
Out comes the nade. Is it close enough? Well, doesn't appear to be. Zachary is still down. Walshy wants to try and get the revive, but realizes it is going to be a risky one. Amerta's coming up behind, surely going to be able to hold the off angle. There comes the initial shot. The tree breaks the line of sight, as does the hill. But don't forget, Joey is going to be giving all this info. Just because you're down doesn't mean you're necessarily out. He knows that while she's going for the revive now, he knows that while she's probably taken damage, so all it's going to require is Amerta to get up here, throw potentially a grenade, and then it's all over for him.
Nades are coming in right on time. As you said, Omerta has the callouts from his dead teammate Joey, and it's a choice nade at that from Omerta. Does the job, gets the confirm for his teammate Joey, and an extra kill for himself. It's going to be just him and Zalodi, though. Only 2 kills out of that mess. They're going to be a little bit upset, as they were laying some serious damage down on the multiple teams there, but they're only going to get away with 2 kills and just 2 players. And now on the south side of zone, Oh my gosh, I didn't have a look at map in some time, but look at all of the teams trying to find their way through this edge of zone up here, Chunks. So many teams have to rotate through this Severny side.
Everyone thought it was going to be Severny or shooting range or maybe north of Roz. Those are really typical positions in a zone like this. But this has just made things really interesting because even the teams that were posted up in the center now have to start making a move because what was a power position is now extremely weak and extremely crashable from all those teams rotating. So it is going to be a tricky one for those squads, but they still have the jump on those other teams who are a bit further east, so should be able to make it in. Destroyer, though, yet again, a player shot out of the vehicle, this time with an SLR, and it looks like we might just get another as Destroyer tries to hop out. Tiny's there to finish off the job, and that's K7 losing a member that Warhawk is going to try and avenge.
He's waiting for the right time to attack, but just as he is waiting for the right time to attack, it looks like V2 joining the party. As you see, 3 members pulling up. Sparky has already arrived with the mini, takes down one of the members of TSS. Warhawk is going to be in the middle of an absolute pinch here between TSS and V2, who is joining the party. He does lay down a nice, impressive red dot AK spray to take down Netton, but the backside is just going to be too much for him to deal with. Quavoff there with an AK of his own takes Warhawk down in no time.
Really impressive from V2 to be able to get involved onto that and finish off the job. Now they've got 2 damaged squads up ahead of them that they might be able to get a couple points off of if they see TSS. Now they see the smoke, they throw out a nade, and that is almost certain to hit if it's near the vehicle. Will it though? Seemingly not, just a bit far with the first one. However, the second is a whole lot more successful. 40 damage onto each of those players. Quaver is just pushing through so fast, straight through the smoke. The vehicle's gone. There's no cover left. It's just going to be a case of who sees who first. Quavoff going to be able to take down Insanos. Goes to reposition. Sees a second. Linkadox takes him down, but Netton is finished off in the end. There's one player left, but he gets the turn. Works. Takes down Quavoff and will be able to confirm the point out of it. Insanos also went down. Not sure exactly how that one happened, but Quirks is just cleaning up now as the solo. Even if he doesn't take down the entire team, he's done a hell of a lot of damage, and the revives are going to be tricky in the blue with the third party.
Yeah, impressive work from the solo queue, putting down at least 2 members of TSS. I'm not sure that Rat and Sparky are going to be able to figure out a way to get Linkadox up. They were able to pick up 5 kills there, so a pretty heads up pull up by them. But even so, you have to think about it, and they might lose 2 members here. Where is the, you know, the cost benefit line drawn? They're gonna be able to, I think, get Linkadox up here. It's only phase 2. You can revive and get a heal off in phase 3. As soon as phase 4 touches up, that is no longer an option. It looks like somehow, remember Aimbot was in the center of all that and got knocked after fighting? He's alive. Prodigy found his way into that fight as K7 got entangled, excuse me, with V2 there. I'm very impressed that Aimbot got out of that.
Really impressive indeed as K7 now start to make their way through Severny. They do have to be a little bit cautious. Obviously, there were so many teams around here earlier. They probably haven't been able to get deep into the zone. Likely, there's going to be a couple squads over on those hills on the west just waiting. That's exactly what we see from team number 9 as well. As the circle has popped, it is open terrain. I'd be surprised if teams don't just send it over towards the plane crash.
Yeah, we've seen this often in this high roller event. So many zones that have nobody really comfortable in the center besides maybe 1 or 2 teams. Look at, we have BHE, Dub Hub, V2, K7. We have a majority, 10 of the 14 teams are nowhere near zone, and let alone even the edge. And it's just been a kind of non-stop for us. These teams are just really having a tough time finding their way into zone, and some really tough terrains in our final game, end zones have made it a situation where you can't send into the center because it's just so wide open. So we've seen some pretty bizarre circles, and teams are doing their best to manage on the edge, especially this team 9 here. We've been talking about them a lot and their ability to keep 4 up and fight their way through a team on the edge. So I'm going to keep a focus on this team and see exactly where they land here. It looks like QDex is going to lead them into these lower side hills here, just to the side of shooting range. They are scouting a little bit forward, trying to get up the hill. If you get pinned in these fields down here, it's very hard to get out of them.
Absolutely, especially with the high ground right next to it. That's probably why they're going to be sending it up to the hill. There is a little shack up here, if I remember correctly, that they could potentially take refuge at, and that appears to be the case as the vehicles start to split and the players hop out. They are getting shot from the north, but they've got a decent little ridge line to work with, as well as the trees providing a bit of cover, so they should be good on that front. About a minute left till phase 4 pops, and it looks like Team 9 are shifting all of their attention to actually engage onto this. They don't want to shy away.
Yeah, it's gonna be several battles breaking out across. It looks like MG about to break out into a fight with one of our torch teams. Dubhub in the middle of fighting with BHE. I'm gonna probably switch over to, I think we had a knock on this edge here with the Dubhub and BHE, but I'm gonna wait and to see what really kicks off. Dubhub is actually retracting from this fight, not gonna take a stand in that compound versus BHE. They're going to elect to try to slide a little bit further into zone and perhaps gatekeep those guys. BHE do have a little bit of edge of zone for now, but the most advantageous position I think right now is still goes to this torch squad. I believe they're still 4 up. They've got a care package, a couple kills, and they're going to have, actually, there you go. Next circle chunks phase 4 is going to pull them out of their spot. No team really going to be in a comfortable spot at this point.
Oh, this circle's horrible. This circle is so cruel to all of these teams. There's one compound in the center, then outside of that, if I remember correctly, it is just a valley, right? And the compound isn't really up to much. You're still wide open from a lot of angles when the rotate comes. It looks like Torch are going to be the ones to take that, which isn't really surprising. They've been a very proactive team, not only this weekend, but also, not only tonight, but also the weekend as a whole, and they're definitely seeming to step into their strides. Hopefully, you know, going into future events, this team feels the confidence. They're able to work on things and just show this aggression from day one, because honestly, as excited as day one was, if we saw this torch, it would have been a much more intense set of games.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw, you know, one team kind of steal the show yesterday, and although they didn't finish with too commanding of a lead, you know, 20 points, I believe, was Kinetic 7. We've seen a totally different torch today, as you said, really hitting their stride. And, you know, we kind of talked about the heads up IGL plays. They must have had this compound kind of scouted out and know that nobody was here. And even with 11 teams, they're able to send the best compound late game, and they get a great spot. But meanwhile, Dubhub clashing with the final 3 members of V2, and it's going to be a little bit of the angles of Team 9 up the hill, but V2 just not able to do anything with that crash. The Dubhub fully ready for them. Dubhub down to 3 members, picking up 3 kills there. Boatman doing as he does, heavy fragging for this squad. He has a broken vest, but he's going to be pretty comfortable on this edge of zone, and they're going to be able to work their way into the plane crash. But I do think they're going to need to worry about BHE, who have heard the noise and know exactly what they're dealing with up ahead.
It's a tricky one to deal with for BHE, though, because as good as their position is, it's one of those where they're not at the top of the hill. It's likely that a team could come down from above them, especially if Dubhub do push a little bit further to the north, because this plane crash gives not only amazing cover, but it also allows a good transition state where you can travel a long distance without exposing yourself too much. Kizza does go down, as does Q, as Team 9 starting to face some real struggles on the crash. Traves is going to be there to sponge one up, and Sweeney is the final remaining player. One more bullet will do that, and that's exactly what's found. Team 5 able to eliminate Team 9 with no real sweat. Sure, they took a damage, they took a knock, but he's going to be up in no time.
Yeah, I didn't exactly see how this battle began, but Code Red Gaming hanging strong versus one of our top teams, their Team 9 in Kinetic 7 EU. They're going to be happy with this edge that they've found themselves on. We're going to just have to wait and see how happy, as this zone heavy favors them. They're going to be very happy with this northern. They're going to be able to sweep across the northern edge. They hear the shots ringing out from Team 13 and perhaps a little bit from Team 16. MG hanging out up the hill as well. 9 teams still alive with 31 players as we approach the 20-minute mark here, Chunks. Pretty crazy circle here. Torch, a lot of work to do now, as they found themselves in the center zone last circle, but now just on the edge is that compound, and BHE kind of sneaking up the side of the hill to perhaps gatekeep them on for their later on rotation.
As OG starts to move down, it looks like he wants to try and make that opening, and that's exactly what he does. A bit of damage comes through, but unfortunately isn't able to convert into an optic. Has gone down, and it looks like OG potentially about to follow. Chrism will be going for the revive, but it's still going to be a tricky one, and they are surrounded.
Yeah, just as you said that, we have the leaderboard fully updated with today's 4 matches, and it's Torch EU as expected with 57 points sitting in first place. They are way closely contested, way more closely contested than I thought. However, 20 Squad South with 51 points, just 6 points behind our first place team, and in third place Kinetic 7 NA with 31. So a big jump from first and second today down to third, but these two teams are going to be very close to our winners from yesterday, the EU side of Kinetic 7. So our top 3 teams, I think, are just within a couple points of each other. And as we say that, Torch continuing their strong play today, led by the man with the AUG in his hand, who has gone down. It's a little bit of a 3-pronged battle here, breaking out between Torch, BHE, and TSN on the high side.
Really impressive to see work like that coming out. Splits is going to be able to take a few shots of his own through the smoke, though. So they're not going to be able to land quite as accurately as he would have hoped. Nemesis is going to try and return the fire towards Splits, but it just hasn't happened as of yet. The hard cover is too powerful, even as a solo. If you Splits right now, all you have to do is try and third-party everything. Don't go for knocks, go for flushes. There's going to be plenty of them about. There shouldn't be a problem. As the circle just edges its way in, there's 35 seconds left on phase 5, and still so many teams on this south side that are destined to fall. Surely only one makes it out alive here.
And just as we were talking about this battle having so many teams involved, the Dub Hub has pushed over the top and totally ruined a 4-man of 20 squad north here. It's going to be just Teak and Lob Riot fighting their way on the edge here. Boatman and the Dub Hub doing a great job to join in at the right time, and they kind of have control of this high side. They know where Lob Riot is, and Boatman trying to connect for another kill, having another great round. 3 kills, 7 for the squad is the Dub Hub, starting to gain some momentum as a team. They have a long way to go and have to go directly into Skyline now, though, and they know that Torch and BHE is hanging out on the low side. Splits still doing work as the solo for this Torch squad. I'm trying to get down to his location and see exactly what he's dealing with there as a solo.
It looks like he's going to try and sneak his way in. I'm not sure whether he wants to get too aggressive, but he is being pushed from behind by OG. He needs to get into this tiny little divot and honestly just hit the deck. Take any cover you can, because now he's starting to potentially expose himself more and more. I get it. You want to get into zone, but sometimes there's such things as rotating too early, getting backfilled, and that's what we're starting to see from Splits now. It's hard as a solo to actually find that timing and get it right, because obviously the nerves are there. You want to just go and get in there, get it out the way, but unfortunately you do have to be cautious in situations like this. And now that Splits has taken shots, I'm sure it's only a matter of time until OG punishes. That's if he chooses to, though, and there it is.
The winner's circle finally getting involved on the high west side of this all. They've been a little quiet this round. We haven't been involved with what they have been doing, but still putting 6 kills up on the board. They seem to do this even when we're not talking about them and stack some points. Winner circle led by Lucarux here with 4 are going to kind of retract back. They see a care package dropping in, although they do have eyes on Zert. Some impressive spray from Spencer. We've seen what this man can do with the mini. He cannot connect. However, Zert throwing down the smokes on the far side. The 3-man of Winner's Circle very comfortable with this position here, continuing a very strong round. We're down to just 5 teams here as we approach the 25-minute mark. 11 players up, and it is a totally broken round for some of these teams. It looks like Tickle with the DP trying to connect onto some members of Code Red Gaming, not having as much.
It is like it. I mean, Tickle, he's done a really good job to be able to land this many shots so far. Now he does finally manage to connect with a couple more. His vest is cracked, though. He needs to be really concerned about this one. Taking a fight against 3 players is one thing at this kind of range, but when you're doing it with no vest, all it takes is, what, 2 shots to the chest and you're down.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has a full 4-man of Code Red Gaming, and we've seen how quickly they can wipe even the top squad, Code Red Gaming. So they need to be careful, as you said, especially Tickle with the damaged vest, because we're down to our final 4 teams here. It's a 2-man for Skyline and a solo for BHE, often as he is OG, the last one up for his squad, doing all he can to work his way through the edge of zone, prone in a little bit of smoke. They're using the rock for some cover. I'm not sure it's gonna last. Yes, it is gonna last for at least this circle up. And that circle is gonna be pulling pretty heavily to the northwest side. Nobody really in zone right now, but Code Red Gaming have a very convincing hold on that northwest side. However, Tickle with the SLR says not so fast, takes down Gav, and this is going to make Code Red scramble, who might have had the best, most dominant position in the game. Now we're going to have to regroup, and they're going to have to be careful of a push from Winner Circle here. They're going to be able to push their way to this bunker and have a little bit of high ground on this fight. It's going to really depend on what Code Red Gaming decide to do with their route into zone here. They're not exactly in on that side, and if they decide to push directly towards Winner Circle, they're going to have a handful with these 3 and their long range guns looking at them.
No, I mean, Winner's Circle is such a dangerous squad to come up against at the best of times, never mind when they're fully locked and loaded with this stronger weaponry. They've got the bunker to work with. It's inside zone, so they have no real concerns right now. I think it's every other team that should be worried if you're in this lobby. Spencer has been putting in work today, but unfortunately this game hasn't quite been able to say that, though. He's one of those players that, at least from what I've seen so far, he shines more in the clutch scenarios than maybe he does in the team v team fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the meantime, we lost our solo final member of Brotherhood Esports, going out in 4th place. So we are down to just these last 3 teams: Code Red Gaming, the 2-man of Skyline on the low side, and Winner Circle standing strong as a 3-man here, as you said, with some strong weaponry, distributing a little ammo, making sure that they're properly balanced for this end game fight. We're in phase 7. We still have all of phase 8 until we get to our final phase 9, and it's going to be Traves opening things up with a knock onto Omerta. You wonder exactly how aggressive they're going to get. He does get that confirmation. We're going to tap into that man's perspective and see exactly what he's looking at. It's just as a Lodi on that side with no cover at all. He's going to have his hands full with this whole team focusing on him. It's just a matter of time. He does get to some cover. This Code Red Gaming team can't really get an angle on the low side on Zolodi because of the high side that Winner Circle is watching them. So they're going to have this solo playing a little bit of a factor in this battle, and it's going to be some good shots from X11 to take that down, which is going to allow them the focus that they need onto a 3-man Winner Circle. Winner Circle into the final 2 as a 3-man for the 2nd game in a row. Can they make it happen for the chicken dinner this time, Chunks?
It looks like it's on track to make that happen, but as Core land amazing shots, they actually get traded either side. So as much as I wanted to say Core were going to come out on top of that one, I mean, with shots like that, you can never count them fully out. And as I mentioned, Spencer, in those clutch situations, I've got to be favoring him from what I've seen. Team 11 are just going to be waiting now, Winner's Circle, covering that bunker just in case of anyone sneaking up behind. But the problem now becomes, this is a very open circle, and Code Red actually have some cover.
Yeah, they do have some cover. They're trying to figure out exactly how they can work their way. They have a little bit of a ridge that stretches all along the south side here. So properly played, they might be able to sneak into edge and have a pretty dominant spread between their 4-men across that south side ridge. It's just a matter of if Winner Circle can turn their attention away from this bunker, perhaps get a clutch knock onto one member and really focus their way into zone. They do have some good zone in Lucarux over here on the side, but he does have to worry about the smoke on the top side. Terror's sitting there with a Groza, lots of care package guns on the playing field here, so these teams have to be careful of each other. Lots of respect being shown as we have 30 seconds before phase 8 turns into phase 9, and we have no more circles. Shots being traded out, both teams putting each other down to just about 1 HP. It's 5 exactly for Lucarux. Terrors gets a heal up of his own, so some impressive AR sprays being traded out across the map here as these teams try to put the chess pieces together and figure out exactly how they're going to break each other down. Plenty of smokes on the side of Winner Circle here. So we're gonna see them be able to push into zone towards this ridge. It looks like Tickle trying to play the high side. He's confident in his abilities. We've seen it before. He's just gonna have to look out from the utility. Sometimes putting a smoke out in front of yourself draws in that util. And right on time, Gav there with a nice nade. He's got Spencer there watching for the revive. I'm not sure he's gonna be able to get Tickle up. It's gonna be a matter of how well Lucarux can cover from the side, and it's very well.
Oh, Lucarux was there to take down one, followed by a second. This is huge. This is taking it back to a 2 versus 2 now, but Lucarux's position is known. Spencer needs to get the revive onto Tickle, which appears to be going ahead, but they need to do it quick. Spencer needs to get back into the fight. 4X going to be on that org. They need to rotate round. It doesn't appear that Lucarux has any info on where these 2 remaining players are. So now he does. He hears the footsteps. Winner's circle starting to work their way round. Trapped X11 working together to take down one apiece, but it leaves Spencer as the final player. And I mentioned the clutch scenarios. Tell me that wasn't one of them. Unfortunately, the timing not on his side. Code Red get the chicken dinner. 13 kills to go with it, and what an ending.
Lucarux. Oh my gosh, that's such an impressive hold there from Winner's Circle. Lucarux gets 2 clutch knocks, totally eliminates the right side of the map. The thing was, the final 2 remaining members of Code Red Gaming were up for the task. They get the 3 final remaining members of Winner's Circle down just as that revive goes off onto Tickle, but it's not enough. Clutch plays from the final 2 remaining members of Code Red Gaming. A massive 13 kill chicken dinner and the first place. Winner's Circle second place for the 2nd game in a row, picking up 8 kills. And rounding out our top 3 for this match is Skyline Gaming with just 3 kills. We have one more match remaining in this event, Chunks. It is going to come down to the final game here. We have about 3 teams all competing for the total combined prize pool. Heating up again is this Day 2 prize pool as well. We'll be back in just a few moments with the final match of the day, you guys. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 12th and final match of our 2-day high roller event. I am honored to be here with my good friend Chunks as we drop into our final match of the evening. We're looking at a Stalber down to Sosnovka military base. And before we hop into it too much, I want to give some massive shout outs to not only my main gaming team alongside of us, but a couple of different other orgs like BGE, who are out here putting on console tournaments every single day. You will see a lot of support coming from main gaming into different organizations like this. Once PUBG console gets more eyes on us, no matter which organization it is, it's gonna be a win for everyone in this scene. We deserve so much more than we get, and it's gonna just take a lot of work from all the different organizations and content creators and competitive teams to come together and just put more eyes and more money into this scene. We have such a strong family here, but as I'm talking about this, we've seen BHE get involved with early fights non-stop, and it looks like this time they're gonna fall to the hands of VE. Vault Esports wasting no time at all, landing directly on this BHE team as a squad and taking 2 of them out here, Chunks.
Nicely done. I mean, it's 2 easy points, isn't it? And finally, we get a Millie Zone. This is what I've been waiting for. What a way to wrap everything up, because it isn't a tournament unless you get a Millie Zone. And for a final game, I think it's a perfect way to round it off. And it is going to be a tricky one. Look, we got that radio tower finish, which is notoriously brutal. But whichever team is able to get up there first is arguably going to be in the best position. If you're Code Red right now, I would already be sending a player up there. I don't care if they've got loot or not. If they've got a gun and a couple of bullets, you get in a car, you get up to the top of that radio tower, and you just make noise. You stop people coming anywhere near it. Then the rest of the team can bring those extra meds, the extra bandages, and help you out then. But right now, just prioritize position.
I couldn't agree with you more, especially after such a strong win last match for Code Red Gaming. They have to be moving their way up the leaderboard here, so I couldn't agree with you more. Send someone up there, because K7NA is in military base. They're here every time, and it looks like they're not going to move quick enough. Warhawk beating them to the jump, going to get to the top of that hill. As we know, it's just such a powerful position to have in these zones to be able to frag out on all these teams. We have three teams, I believe, heavily vying out for the first place position. It's going to be Torch, this team in Pochinki, Kinetic 7 EU, as well as I believe TSS having a very strong game. Last round might have hurt them a little bit, but everything is still up for grabs here. So all of these teams are going to be taking the final round very seriously here. This is called a high roller for a reason. Teams bought in for more than they are ever used to for these PUBG console events. And just like that, a combination of the different players of VE are going to take down BHE. They're going to be our first team eliminated in this final round. 4 quick kills for this VE squad. They did lose 1 member in the mixture there. He's already backed out, I believe. That's why we don't see him in the bottom left. But 4 quick kills here. BHE goes out in 16th place. Lots of rotations need to come out here as soon as possible from most of these teams who have to find their way onto this island.
I mean, the rule of thumb typically in PUBG is about the 4.5, 5 minute mark is when you should start making a move, or at least be on the way. And I think that that's maybe changed here. I think that because of the nature of the circle, if you're not moving 2 minutes in, you've made a bit of a mistake, honestly. And I think that's something that a couple of the top teams have identified really well. Look at Code Red. They did exactly what I said. They got Terras up there as quickly as they could. Sure, you probably could have got there quicker, but still to be able to get up there, take some shots, and scare them into thinking there could be a full team up there, that's enough in a zone like this.
Yeah, big plays. I think Warhawk was the first one up there, but just a team play by Code Red Gaming to just overtake that from one player. Pretty interesting. Usually, even one player can do a decent job of holding this down, but Code Red Gaming feeling very confident and take that over and force Warhawk. I believe he probably felt he had no option other than to leave, and he's going to go escape, go hang out on the coast, perhaps try to pick up some kills for his squad, who is incredibly spread. Destroya by the bridge, Warhawk and Novo. The other two look like they're finally getting in a car in the actual military base, but in the meantime, it looks like V2 pretty spread out on the north side of the bridge in Milta, in a couple teams. WC, Torch getting into boats as we see a Big battle breakout on this left bridge here, Chunks.
It's going to be a messy one. You can see TSN holding on for everything they can, but with the whole team pushing up, playing these bridges, it's going to be tough. Lob Riot does what he can with the 2x AK, but unfortunately, half the mag has already gone to waste. He needs to reload that quick if he wants to stand any chance. Never mind, that nade was beautifully cooked. Sweeney going to be going down. Now TSN need to strike. They need to work as a unit to push in here, get some damage. More importantly, finish off this squad, because as Kizza starts to come in from behind, that is going to be a real problem they probably weren't expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, for those of you might not have been around PUBG for the longest time, those railings on the side of the bridge are a somewhat new addition. Not crazy new, but it's very new to some of these players to try to figure out how to take fights on this spot, since this hasn't been here the entirety of the competitive lifetime. So it's very interesting to see these type of fights break out between these teams, because there's all sorts of cover, but third parties can ring out. Nades are such a factor. It truly is a really messy place to fight. And teams are really able to do different things because of these new railings. Sweeney going to get flanked here by Lob Riot, who seems to be shooting outside. He doesn't really realize where these two members have gone. He is going to find them soon, though. Sweeney with the barrel. A little bit of laggy audio for me here, but Sweeney does take down Lob Riot. Going to quickly go for that thirst, and just as we claimed, an absolute mess going on between these two teams here.
It looks like Sweeney tries to find a second, succeeds at a third. Okay, Sweeney. Okay, take that 3K right to the bank and get the hell into the zone, because as good as that was, if you're not inside center circle, you're in trouble.
Chunks, I don't know if we realize how important that was. This is one of our first place teams. They were reviving. Sweeney got a revive off or got revived. I'm not sure which way it was, but they are able to take down that TSN squad. Lob Riot was feeling himself there. Ended up getting around to the top side, not locating Sweeney quick enough, and Sweeney just turns into an absolute machine. He might be able to pick up more here on a car coming through.
Oh, Sweeney! He popped a tire, though. This could be good. His team could try and make something out of it. Never mind. K7 busy just getting shredded apart. The rest of the squad are busy looting. They don't really care about it. Look, they've already got themselves the kills. Why would they want any more? On the topic of K7, though, they tried to make a cross over to the other side of the island. Maybe, yeah, it was K7 who made the push. They got completely shredded apart, but that last second clutch from that solo player was able to make it. Prodigy is living up to his name, has just popped off.
He has to get the revive on Warhawk.
His team in it.
Yeah, Prodigy does clutch up here. It looks like they picked up a full squad wipe on that team crashing with a boat. I believe Warhawk left the high side mountain. We saw him leave that Code Red gaming spot here and send down to here. He called the rest of his team over to this edge, and they're going to get 4 strong back up here, picking up 4 kills. So some pretty impressive team maneuvering. They were all sorts of spread over, but they link up for an effective squad wipe on exactly who, I'm not sure. But they're going to be 4 deep here. Going to need to get boosted up.
Torch, I think.
It was that.
Was it not? I think, no, it was not. Sorry, my mistake.
Torch is down
I thought
here.
It was Torch that they were able to stake out then, and I was like, that was even more impressive. But no, my mistake there.
I didn't see exactly. It might have been the other Torch squad. We have 2, so it might have been the T without the O. Yeah. It might have been TRCH. But yeah, we got there a little bit late. But clutch plays by K7 to stay in it. They just need to watch out, because Winner Circle has found their way with a boat of their own into this Novo warehouse, and are fully aware, I think, of that K7 team on the coast there. I think they were there early enough to hear those shots. In the meantime, I believe Linkadox reached out and got a package. So everyone gonna need to look out for V2 here. A little extra firepower in the form of an AUM in the hands of Linkadox.
Sneaking up. Nice and easy to get onto the cliffside. Now, the AUM on its own is pretty strong, but in a position like this, I'm not sure. Now, we've seen what can happen with bolts this evening, can't we? We've seen the ability to hit players out of vehicles a couple of times, but to be able to do it with an AWM is ambitious. That's why he's leaving it till the last possible second, when he knows these players are going to be close and potentially open directly below him. While she pulls up in to the dip, no weapon in hand as of yet. There it is now, the vehicle a little bit further back, going for a bit of a jiggle peek, expects them to be at gas station. Little does he know, though.
Yeah, Linkadox hiding in the ridges here with the AK in his hand. Gets some nice headshots onto Walshy. Unknown with a little bit of cover fire. Walshy's going to sneak into a ridge of his own. Try to get a heal off here. Link just barely dodging that grenade from Walshy. A good throw. V2 with an insane spread here. I'm going to tap into their perspective and see what they're looking at. Linkadox doing all he can to hold these rocks with the AWM. He's got the 3 gear here, so he's ready for a fight. He does have Sparky on the other side of the bridge. He's got Quavoff a little bit lower, pushing his way to gas station. One of the more valuable spots here, held by Rat in this building with a clutch knock onto the north side, onto Sharky. So VE with a little bit of a spread of their own, but Rat doing as he does, hanging strong here, picking up a quick kill. And VE now are reduced to just their 2 players on that coastline. And it looks like they're pushing up right onto Linkadox, but Sparky is there for the cover. It's down to just Walshy here with a clutch knock onto Link. Sparky there for some spray. It's going to be good trades going out. They're both really low here, Chunks. Some good pre-fire by Sparky to catch the head of Walshy.
That was really nicely done by Sparky, but I gotta say, where were the rest of the team at that point? This is the danger that I spoke about with a lot of these squads playing very confident and playing very split. That was a very risky play for V2 to have Ratatat all the way over here. Not ideal. But look, they make it out. They've got 3 kills. 4 players alive, and they're arguably in a very good position here because they could still decide to play the bridge, for instance, use the cover on that southern side to make the most out of it. K7, though, going to be coming up into a fight up against Winner's Circle. So far, Winner's Circle have managed to take down 1 and left 2 from K7 up. Prodigy just going to be waiting there, though, for anyone to make a move. Little do they know it's going to be him who pushes in first. The hipfire connects. Tickle, Spencer, both falling, but the trade comes through. It's a 1 versus 1, at least in this building. The rest of Winner's Circle nowhere to be found, as BM also starting to sneak up and get involved on this.
Yeah, Zensity has heard enough. He decided from the west side he's going to get involved. Prodigy doing all he can to figure out where the final 2 members of Winner's Circle are. They were outside. They've swapped spots. Now Luca Rux about to have a molly in his face. It's going to be some effective shots, though. We saw what Luca could do at the end of last round. He's going to clutch up for his team. However, the molly is going to get that knock. It's going to be just 1 up for Winner's Circle. He's getting the revive inside onto Tickle, but how timely is this push from Zensity and the rest of Blood Money? It's going to be a big factor here. He knows where to go. He's got the mollies and the nades in hand going up top. He doesn't exactly know the knock is in front of him on the low side, I don't think.
Zensity tries to throw the nade up, but it didn't really connect, and now, unfortunately, that's given a lot of info over to Winner's Circle as his teammate moves up. He's going to get taken down by Cocky. Chom going to actually nade himself right there. Really not ideal as Zensity tries to move up a little bit further. Kicky still just holding, waiting on that staircase for any player to expose themselves a tad too much. BM now looking like Zensity wanted to hop his way in, but second guess on that, going for the bait instead. Tickle's there with the flashbang. If this lands, it's all but over for Zensity. There it is, completely blinded, but gets to cover just before Tickle can actually pull his weapon out.
And just like that, another third party has joined in. It's going to be Skyline in the form of Omerta and Zaloti taking out the 1 teammate Zensity had. So now it's just going to be a matter of if Winner's Circle try to get this revive on Lucarux. They have got it. They're going to scurry past him. He realizes that is his time to act, except he second guesses himself. There is now, I believe, how many players up above him? He's got 3 above him. The time might have been then to act because the revive was going on. Zensity not exactly sure what was going down. He grabs a molly off of a box, though, and might hit an effective one at that on one of the members of Winner's Circle. Another molly going out. He's going to need to get a quick heal off as some good spray came out from the top side peak. He's going to be careful of this window. Linkadox with the AWM up top looking towards him, but he does not connect. He might be looking somewhere else. I'm going to get an aerial view on what exactly is going on here. This has been an insane fight here with so many factors involved. And now V2 getting involved from the high side as multiple teams sneak their way through Novo, slowly but surely joining 1 by 1 into this fight. It's a full skyline across the street from this messy fight happening in the farm building. Zensity holding on, being totally stubborn outside of this house. Winner's Circle can't figure out how to deal with him. He's going to hop on a bike. Let's figure out where exactly he's going to end up. I'm not sure he realizes that skyline was there. Quick effective shots from enemy onto the head of Zensity, take him down. Winner Circle gonna be able to take a deep breath now, as the immediate threats of K7 and BM have all been dealt with. They only lose one player in a double team push from BM and K7. So again, impressive plays in day 2 of the high roller from Winner Circle. We're gonna have to wait and see how much it does for them on the leaderboards though.
50 seconds left on phase 3 to close in. Then don't forget that phase 4 circle, at least you'll have to clarify for me on this, at least on PC, that's when the LAN ratio comes in. Not sure whether it operates the same on console, but if it does, we're likely going to see it shift hard up to the northwest. So Code Red are going to be feeling really confident if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in how much they've gotten involved with this game. I'm going to try to get into their perspective. Picked up nothing up here. So kind of the sour thing about this location, it can be so good, but you really don't get that many chances at immediate fights. The odds of someone trying to crash you are, you know, slim to none up there, and it's all about trying to land some long range shots. Just as I say that, number 11N doing what he did last game. He had 7 kills or something and the clutch for his squad, but this time it's going to be the bolty into the head of one of the members of the Dub Hub. They're going to be able to get that revive off. It's going to need to be sooner than later, as they aren't in zone there. They're going to need to squeeze their way towards Boltman, and they're going to have shots from both the south and above focused on them. Code Red Gaming, however, very comfortable on top of that hill, still with no kills. All of the action has happened on this Novo side, and you're seeing teams like Torch. Very important for them to do all they can to stay alive here. One of the other teams, two teams that are involved on the top of the leaderboard is TSS and Kinetic 7 EU has already been eliminated. So Torch need to gather every point they can here to make up that distance between them and Kinetic 7 EU.
Jump is going to be opening things up. It's actually Torch who were there for the third party. They're the ones who took down Tiny in the end. The nade going to come up over the top with the hopes of connecting for the flush. It will. It's Bo actually who finishes that one off, but Cheech follows it up immediately with the second onto Quirks, as Dub Hub now just going to be laying inside this dip. 2 of them out for the heal, but Bo's going to be back in it now. The third party came through, and that means that the kill onto Quirks has been denied. So only 2 on the board now for Dub Hub, as they need to go for a reposition, but to get up this hill, they will have to expose themselves. Instead, opting to take the vehicle for that little bit of extra cover, because look, you've just been shooting. Everyone already knows where you are. No need for stealth at this point.
Yeah, absolutely not. Havoc going to lead the way into this dip. The main issue is going to be what can Code Red Gaming see from above. There are still 2 members of TSS on this side. They're going to play it as smart as they can. They're having a great day too, but a knock comes out from, I believe that was Lucarux down here, picking up a knock with the mini onto one of the members of MG on the coast. It looks like they're going to be able to, actually, he's all alone out there. Not going to be able to get that revive. Acid Burn pushing into Novo as a solo. She's going to do all she can to try to sneak MG into a couple more points here. I thought they were eliminated, but silently, Kizza has snuck his way into the edge of zone. This is our winners from yesterday. I thought they were eliminated from this round, but Kizza bringing his team with already 5 kills. This is going to be very important how much he can gain, whether it's kills or placement points here, because I know that the overall leaderboard is very tight between this team and Torch on the low side, who is still sitting there totally equipped with 4 players and 3 kills on the board. So a lot is still to be determined about who is taking home the big prizes here, and some insane team spray coming out from the auto M4 of Torch. Fizz with the spray, picked up by his teammate there with the mini splits, spraying down one of the members of Dub Hub. In the meantime, TSS seem to have flanked a little bit too close to this mountain where Code Red Gaming have just been hanging out all game.
Gav throws out the nade. It seems close, but oh, just a second too late. Netting goes down to the zone in the end. That's going to be Team 4 out in 9th position. We're now into the placement points, remember, so every single place you survive is a stark increase in the number of points you're going to be able to get. Skyline looking to hopefully make the most out of it as they do take the fight onto the team ahead of them, but instead opting to turn around and back away from this one, which isn't really too surprising. I think that Skyline maybe would have thought this was real something, just from the way they aggressed onto it, but B2 saying absolutely not. That's 2 of them fallen, and Skyline, that is a horrible way to go, considering they're currently sat there in a really good position on the leaderboard. They have let things slip massively in this last game.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Never mind, they're in 15th. My mistake. I was looking at the wrong leaderboard. Doesn't matter. They've thrown anyway.
they were taking a pretty aggressive approach onto V2 there, but a knock or two really broke it down. The third party from the side, Winner's Circle, still sitting very comfortably in this farm building, playing such a factor into these fights from long range. We know these guys can shoot long range. It's just a matter of if they're in the right spot, if they can keep their team up. Out of those early round fights, we saw them get into so many scraps early on in this tournament, and you just wonder if they played those beginnings a little bit more cautious, maybe a little bit smarter, you know, perhaps for you know, let the aggression come a little bit later on once you get a little more equipped. I'm really curious to see what that Winner's Circle team could have done if they didn't have such a rough start yesterday.
Looking for the spray. Unfortunately, can't connect onto Bo. I'm not actually sure what his plan is here to send it around the side on a bike, but hey, he might just be able to crash something in Novo. The zone is closing and it's force code red off of that high ground, but they still have a decent amount to work with up here. It just is slightly more exposed than it previously was. They've got vehicles as well, so they can use this ridge and likely crash down to the next one if the circle allows them to. So as it stands, code red, very good position. We'll see when the next phase pops, though, how much that changes.
Yeah, 2 of our teams of 4, both kind of hanging out on this high side alone right now. So it's going to be interesting to see if those 2 get into a skirmish with one another while we still have 5 other teams all broken up. Besides this V2 squad is another team of 4. Several different broken teams, a couple solos hanging out down there. It's going to be very interesting to see where this next circle pops, because that's going to be very vital for our teams of 4 on the high side, and see exactly what their next play is off of that hill.
It's going to be a tricky one, but for now, at least everyone appears to be settled. Ratatat could face issues as Code Red come over the top as he starts to clear out behind, but there are a lot of dips he could potentially work with. Having V2 supporting him down at the compound has got to be helpful. 4x barrel in hand, but opts to go with the SLR. He knows it's going to be a hard shot to hit. So now he's called it out to his team. Be interesting to see if V2 actually send a second player out here.
Yeah, Rat usually is a player who gets that free reign. One of the top fraggers, very well known out here. Part of this V2 team that has won both of our LAN tournaments. So they've proven online and in person that they can do it. So Rat has been doing this for a long time. He usually knows exactly what he's doing, and he puts one of the members of Code Red Gaming down to just 1 shot with that 4x barrel spray. Very good shots onto Terrors, who has Overwatch, and he has his 3 team members there. He's just going to need to be careful, because Rat is not someone you want to be trifling with out in the open.
Code Red starting to work their way down just a little bit further, taking control of this road. Now, Torch could have caused problems if they got aggressive maybe a bit earlier, but I think at this point, once Code Red have gotten behind the ridge, they should be okay. Now, that could change as soon as V2 start to open up exactly like they have done, as the zone may just force Code Red to play this edge and expose themselves a tad more than they wanted to. V2, however, they're taking that northern side. They've got the bowls. They are happy with them, and they're just ready to hold out everyone from Novo, because they know there's got to be a lot of solos.
Speaking of solos, Boatman for the Dub Hub was trying to play a spoiler for V2, but his teammate Linkadox with the AWM smokes Boat in the head. I'm not sure they're going to be able to get that revive off. It's going to need to be timely. It looks like it's his first tick, because if not, that would have happened a little bit quicker. Linkadox has his gun tucked, his Nike strapped up. He's trying to get there to keep V2 4 strong. He is going to be able to do that. What a clutch play with the AWM and the sprint across the map and save his teammate.
Now, as the zone creeps in, Kizza is kind of out on their own. It's going to be tricky. Ratatat does fall, so it could be an opening now onto V2 and allow some opportunities for those teams off to the northwest to start making their way through a bit further. 50 seconds, though, remain on this zone, and Kizza has a hell of a cross to make with Acid Burn looking right at him. It looks like now it is going to happen. Maybe one of them is aware, but as Kizza starts to sneak up, still not giving anything away. The feet are exposed, and there it is. Acid Burn looking to punish, able to land 2 bullets through the gap onto the hand. Beautifully done, but now it's time to just take out those toes.
Gonna try the nade is Acid Burn. She's got a little bit of help from the other team, V2 on the north side. Kizza, as we know, doing all he can for Team 9, our winners from yesterday. Every single point matters for this man. It's gonna be the nade of Acid Burn that ends the final round of the tournament for our winners from yesterday. Kizza out in 6th place, and just as we speak, Rat goes down to the spray of Lucarux. M4 spray from in this building is going to take Rat down from long range. He is eliminated immediately from the top side. Fizz with the mini is going to actually pick up that kill for Torch. Again, every single point matters here for Torch. We know how tightly contested the top of the leaderboard is.
Splits still there, trying to find a bit of an opening down below, but none of those players wanting to expose themselves. And you got to think Winner's Circle are going to be able to sponge those players up way before Splits is going to be able to even get a shot on them. It's 20 seconds till the phase moves. Maybe Code Red and Torch end up actually pushing into each other now. You can see Torch moving up the hill just a little bit further. 10 seconds remain on the clock, and now comes the question: do they commit, or do they just go somewhere else, try and send? Lucarux takes down Acid Burn. That's MG out in 5th, leaving us with our top 4 teams, and phase 7 starting to shrink.
I think we're where we need to be. This battle between Torch and Code Red could be the battle of the tournament. We know how tight Torch is on top of the leaderboard with the Kinetic 7 EU. We don't know exactly what those numbers are until we get the scoreboard fully updated. But just like that, Gav playing a huge factor, takes down Fizz with the nice, smooth SLR shots, instantly thirsts him. Ghost is forced to react pretty seriously, and the third parties are gonna start to play a factor as well, as V2 and WC on the east side trying to get an angle. On the high side, they might need to consider taking this fight sooner than later here, Torch.
Smoke's there. This is an interesting one from Torch. Are they just trying to block off their line of sight to close the gap? It appears so. Out comes the push. They didn't want to push down the hill in the end. Frag grenade going to follow up now. I'm not sure whether I like this. Sure, the smokes are good. There could be the aspect of, oh, they're just trying to break the line of sight. But now with the grenades, the flashes coming alongside, you've got to think that any second Code Red are going to realize that a push is coming, and that's exactly what's happened. Now Code Red have themselves a ridge to deal with. Ghosts are trying to push their way through. Smokes, mollies everywhere. Winner's Circle also getting involved onto V2, making it 2. Lucarux, Cocky, each able to take down 1. Lucarux getting third body from behind. Torch now taking a fight on 2 fronts. That is the worst thing you could possibly do, because there was no one to trade for Ghosts. Sure, Mushu got one, eventually make it a second, but now Split is, as his name suggests, so split from the rest of his team. Torch, unfortunately for me, that was a real misplay.
I think they needed to fight the top side together. Splits has been watching that fight unfold on the low side, and his team was doing work. Mushu got 2 knocks onto Code Red Gaming. Ghost was putting down good damage onto them too. If Splits was there, I think it might have been the 3rd shots that they needed to totally wipe that team, as Winner's Circle and V2 kind of skirmished on the low side. Splits was needed up top. He is alive. Code Red Gaming got back up to 4 strong. All of these points matter. We don't know exactly how much until that leaderboard is fully updated, but Splits, again, electing to kind of push the zone and shoot the low side while his team fought on the high side, and it could be event winning or losing plays that we are witnessing right now. And there he goes.
There, tries to land it, but unfortunately not enough. X11 comes out on top. That's got to be huge for Code Red right now, getting close to the end. Gav looking up over the top to try and find an opening onto Winner's Circle.
Yeah, this is huge. Code Red trying to go back-to-back here. The single day of day 2 leaderboard, I believe, is up for them to grab here with a strong finish. And the chicken dinner, 11, and doing what he's been doing all day, ripping off heads, and this time it's Tickle on the receiving end. Winner's Circle still have 3 up, but they're gonna need to get that revive on. Sparky and Quavoff for V2 know exactly what happened and are starting to reflank the low side. As you can see on your map here, Quavoff is trying to get active. He's slowly creeping around the side. He knows that there's a knock here. He probably expects that that revive has come up, but he's got the 4x on the barrel, trying to see through the smoke here, Chunks.
He's sneaking up so cautiously. Tickle's still going to be over at that tree. Hugh, ready to peek, smoke's dissipated. That's going to be one. Make it a second, and that has to be it now. Q is just completely annihilated Winner's Circle. Their game is all but over, but one thing he forgot to take into account is that team over on the west. Code Red throwing shots into the side of Q as the 4x barrel spray comes out. It's a tad low, but that doesn't matter when you can find a headshot like that. Tickles out, Winner's Circle in third, and now Sparky, everything is on the line to try and make this work, but as he gets tagged up, Q unfortunately misses the shot, and now V2 in a very precarious position.
It's going to need to be some impressive shots here. Quavoff and Sparky not able to put it together so far. It's too much. It's a full four-man of Code Red Gaming with a full four spread all over the zone. Sparky into the smoke. Nothing he can do. Gav with the M4 connects on the headshots. That is our final game of the tournament. Code Red Gaming going back to back to end this event. It's going to be very interesting to see how that shakes up the leaderboard. We have to wait and see exactly what happened. But as we take a final look at this match, it's Code Red Gaming with 8 kills and the chicken dinner. V2 sliding in with a very impressive end here, 11 kills and the second place. Winner's Circle coming on crazy strong today, 8 kills and the third place. Torch, one of our top teams, they were in first place for day 2, definitely competing for first place on the overall leaderboard. Picked up 6 kills and a 4th there, and Main Gaming sliding into the 5th spot with just 1 kill at the hands of Acid Burn. Whew, that is a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, I got some massive thank yous to hand out here. First, I want to hand it out to Chunks so we can get him out of here and he can go get some rest. Chunks, thank you so much. I got to extend, I know everyone here for PUBG Console can't thank you enough for your expertise, your time, and your passion. We hope we can just, get you more involved and into more of these events. We know how busy you are. So I'll make sure we keep that line of communication as open as possible. And just thank you so much. Anything you want to say to everyone watching today?
Hey, I just want to say thank you for the console community, because every time I cast a console event, the reception is just amazing and you guys make me feel so at home. So thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be back doing more console stuff soon, but who knows? It's esports, isn't it? You never know what's going to happen. Fingers crossed we can make something happen. And you know what? I do want to take a moment for any non-console players watching to just say you should appreciate the work that these guys put in, because it is not easy. Sure, you can say, oh, aim assist, whatever, for all sorts of different games. It isn't like that with PUBG. It is raw skill. These guys are hitting these shots with a controller, which I find insanely impressive. Being able to even lean with a controller is something that blows my mind. So I'm just so impressed by the quality continually, and having it been a few months since the last time I casted console to coming back now, the caliber has just stepped up. I am so impressed.
Yeah, you said it. So a massive shout out to all these players and these teams putting in the work. It shows, and we're just so delighted to be able to give you a stage to shine on. So massive shout outs to these console players. I promise you, myself, Main Gaming team here, and other orgs, we're going to just continue to put on bigger, better events. So make sure you stay tuned. PUBG Console is here to stay. More LANs, more tournaments, bigger prize pools, more eyes on us. It's all about building each other up. Again, you're going to see Main Gaming supporting different organizations like BGE, like PCL, because if we all grow in this scene together, it's just going to put more eyes on everyone and we all become winners here. So again, a massive thank you to Chunks, a massive thank you to all the teams for joining our events. I promise you, Main Gaming is going to be bringing you more and more events, whether it's community, whether it's content, whether it's charity, or it's competitive events. We have them all coming for you guys. I've got such an amazing team behind us here, and we just love doing things for this PUBG Console community. Our focus is totally right here. I'm so excited to continue to build this team and continue to build PUBG Console up. So thank you all so much for your time. I'm so excited to continue and put more events out for you guys. And again, I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend. A very, very happy 4th of July to anyone celebrating. And just enjoy the rest of your weekends, everyone. We really appreciate your time. And just make sure you're following Chunks UK Make sure we get some shout outs for Chunks in the chat. Make sure you're following the rest of my main gaming team and the main gaming socials, the Discord, the Twitter. We post all of our events on those forums, so make sure you're in there. And we'll be bringing you much more very soon. Thank you guys so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day and weekend. That's all I have for you. I am your host, Stento. I'm here with Chunks. Hope you guys enjoy it. Bye for now.